am Natisha Davis, and I will be your chairperson for this evening. I will now welcome our Kimaloy Murphy, our Guild Exec President, to come and give her welcome remarks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us this evening for the 2020 staging of ONENESS. This evening we have students from the Anguilla Community College, Comprehensive Learning Center, the Albina Lake Hodge Comprehensive High School, and the UWI Open Campus Anguilla. As the chapter chair for the UWI Anguilla Guild of Students, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to ONENESS, Different Paths, One Goal. ONENESS was formed over 5 years ago as a social and networking event for tertiary students on Anguilla. We have consistently worked on the model, and last year relaunched the event in the present format. ONENESS was created with the goal of fostering networking among students from the different tertiary institutions on Anguilla through providing building blocks for students to obtain the necessary resources and information through the sharing of knowledge amongst other students enrolled in similar academic programs, through enabling students to gain tips on how to improve personal finances and find a healthy balance between academics, work, and family life, and to fostering the interests of talented nationals in tertiary education, and by doing so, increase the number of people in Anguilla pursuing associate and bachelor's degrees. This seminar is themed The World of Work, Preparing for Success. Tonight, we will hear from our esteemed presenters on several areas relevant to the theme, such as be your own boss, choosing your right career path, crisis management, digitizing your value, leadership and you, and marketing yourself. I am sure that our presenters will be engaging and that they will be providing us with nuggets of wisdom. As such, I encourage each of you to prepare your minds for the session. Absorb the information presented, and most importantly, apply to your situations as needed. This session is for you and to aid in your further development as students and productive citizens. Please feel free to ask your questions, participate fully, and share your feedback with us via our evaluation form. Once again, thank you for your presence here, and welcome to a wonderful evening of insightful presentations and discussions.
Okay, upon entering, each person should have received, with the exception of the presenters, one ticket, and you are asked to tear some toilet paper off a roll. Is there anyone that does not have toilet paper? Your presenter, you're excused. So I take it that everyone else has toilet paper? Okay, so we can get some of those. So I take it that each person has toilet paper? Okay, so upon entering, I told everyone to take as much toilet paper as you like. Some persons took a lot of toilet paper because they said it's a game and they guess whoever had the most toilet paper wins. Here's what happens. You count the number of sheets of toilet paper you have, and that's the number of things you're going to tell us about yourself. So the persons who have a lot of toilet paper would have a lot to tell us this evening. So please count your sheets. Okay, so first person. Okay, Miss Webster would like to be the first person. So you're going to tell us something about yourself based on the number of sheets you have. Just one?
Okay. I'm currently studying management studies to get a bachelor's degree with UWI Open Campus.
Okay. Next person.
I have one sheet, so. My name is Tuana Thomas.
Now, if you don't start volunteering, the back of your tickets have numbers. Do you want me to start calling numbers?
I didn't count my paper, I used it. So my name is Marissa Ray. I'm an entrepreneurship, financial services, and POB teacher at the ALHCS. I have a number of children here, my students, that I had a bribe to bring this evening. So I have to give them time back next week for their attendance here. But these are the willing volunteers. More would have been here, but they had other engagements, and we are happy to be here. We're looking forward to learn a lot. I'll pass it on to Carrie now.
So my name is Kariana Vanderpool. My age is 17. My career goal is to be an accountant, and I also want to tap into some financial consultancy as well. I am currently studying financial services, entrepreneurship, management of business as well at Albina Lake Hodge Comparative School. And what I'm doing right now, I'm a small business owner. So I have an online clothing store.
Congratulations.
Good night. I am Silvio Hodge, and I got one sheet, so I am an aspiring entrepreneur.
My name is Christopher Bejnat. I got 2 sheets. Well, I'll tell you my name, and I study entrepreneurship.
My name is Mia Christmas. I am also studying entrepreneurship. And just like Kariana, I also have a small business named Little Missy. We also sell clothes.
Good night. My name is Leslie Fleming. I am 17. I am also studying entrepreneurship. I'm a student at the ALHCS, and yeah.
Good night. My name is Avisha Gums Richardson. I'm 18 years of age, and I'm an entrepreneurship student.
You only had 3 sheets? Okay.
Good night. My name is Dericia Griffin. I'm 18. I'm currently studying entrepreneurship at the ALHCS. I like to bake, and one day I'll aspire to become an entrepreneur in baking. Yeah.
Good night. My name is Kyle Felix. I'm a student in financial services. I'm 18 years of age, and I plan to be an investor and make a lot of money.
Good night. My name is Nikima Kazi. I am 17, and I'm currently a student at Albina Lake Hodge Comprehensive School, and I'm studying entrepreneurship.
Good evening. My name is Samantha Gums. I am 18 years of age, and I'm a certified massage therapist. I went to job training last year with Mr. Joe Pradell, and from there I went into the work field. I inspired to be a chiropractor and massage therapist, which I already am, and I would like to own my own business here in Anguilla, knowing that the people doesn't have a permanent chiropractor on island. So that is my dream.
Good night. My name is Teja Haj Karam. I am currently attending ELHCS, and I'm doing a degree, associate's degree in tourism.
Some person saying count them sheets.
I think he had a sheet.
I'm trying to think of my 8 things now. I only have 4, but I have 8 sheets. So I can come back to me. I need 4 more things. Okay, I'll go with my 4 then. Stand? I'll stand. Okay, my name is Cordell Smith. I am 22 years old. I work with Raffle Digital Agency. I'm here to see Tahira speak. And Jose and everybody else and everybody that has something to share tonight. I'm looking forward to this session. I'm currently a student with the UWI Open Campus as well. I'm studying international management, and I'm passionate about sports, fitness, and business. Simple. That's 4.
Next to him, she speak Yadira. Shori.
Good night, my name is Jody Vanterpool. I only have 2 sheets. So I am passionate about accounting and computer science. Josie, don't say anything. And I also love natural hair, so I'm a naturalista, as you can see. That's why I'm late, but it's okay. It's fine.
Is that everyone? No, we have 3 ladies right here that took off toilet paper. I'm so interested in the amount they're going to give.
So I took 12 sheets.
I know.
I don't think I could give you 12 things, but my name is Lavida Naz. I'm 22. I'm a psychology student. I go to Bournemouth University. I'm a twin with a boy. No, we do not look alike. People always ask me that. I started a small business last year. It's called Frontline Accessories. So it was geared to providing carnival accessories, so like stockings, shades, fanny packs and stuff like that. And I'm planning on like starting it back in, hopefully having an online store once the pandemic is over and we can have carnival again. I'm currently interning with the clinical psychologist here on Ireland. I'm currently in the middle of completing my dissertation. One more? The topic? So I'm researching stigma on mental health, and I'm looking at like the generational gap, so younger adults and their intake on mental health, and then like older adults, if there's a difference and what we can do to like bridge that gap, and also like create an environment where we can speak more openly about mental health. So, yeah.
Good evening, I am Jordia Hodge. I knew the game, so I only took 1 sheet, and I am a law student at the City University of London.
Okay, I went through my fastest and I took 16 sheets. So, first name Ariel, last name Gaskin. I'm 22. That's 3. I was born in 1998. That's 4. I have 4 nationalities. That's 5. I'm a final year law student. That's 6. At Durham University. 7. My research areas include distributed ledger technologies in financial markets. I have brown eyes, black hair. I'm passionate about a lot of things. I don't like plantain. I don't like coleslaw. I don't like coconut. And I'm the co-founder of Mass Band. How many was that? I don't know. That's 60. That's, you know.
I will take you out to eat anytime. I'll take all those things you don't eat. Fine. We'll work it out. Okay, so that is the end of our icebreaker. I guess everyone here knows a little bit more about everyone. Our presenters, you will know a little more about them when the time comes, so that's why they didn't get to take part in this nice little game. So now we'll have special greetings by the manager of UWI Open Campus, Dr. Phyllis Fleming-Banks.
Good evening, everyone. Honorable Jose Vanderpool and all the members of the executives of the student councils, Albina Lake Arch Comprehensive School, the Anguilla Community College, Comprehensive Learning Center, and of course, our UWI Open Campus Guild of Students. So when I saw that I had to bring special greetings. I said, well, I'm the only one in here with gray hair, so, so I'm the oldest, right? So that was why I had to bring special greetings. And then I listened to the activities for the Icebreaker, and I am like 18 years, business, and 22, and doing this. Give yourselves a round of applause. Anguilla is... Let me tell you, a few years ago, at one of our country conferences, there was a paper about the dying breed of, small business on Anguilla. And we have another country conference coming up in 2021. But I'm sure we're going to have to change that with the number of small business and entrepreneurs that we have there, because it's in our DNA, right, Cherise? So I really want to congratulate the UWI Open Campus Guild of Students on the sixth staging of ONENESS. And a few years ago, when they came and we want to do this ONENESS, I'm like, is that a word? And, but the whole concept behind it, quickly taught us what it was about. So the Guild of Students is really about, helping to develop and support students within the particular institution. But the UWI Open Campus Guild of Students, the vision was wider, to bring the other students from the other tertiary institutions together. And over the past years, this has really catapulted into something that's very dynamic. And this evening, I really want to applaud on the world of work, preparing yourself for success. I think most of you are already on that road. And if those who are listening or tuning in or by social media or text somebody, WhatsApp somebody, it's happening here. All the young entrepreneurs are buzzing. They have the leaders in Anguilla right here. We got Shelley here rocking, choosing the career path, and Tahira, Sharice, and we have Miss Fede and the Honorable Jose Van der Poel and Susan Hodge and all the rest, and all these budding entrepreneurs here. I feel the energy is going to lift this room and lift Anguilla. So I really want to congratulate all of you for being here and for sharing. I am going to get a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more wisdom, a little bit more energy from being here, and I thank you for allowing some gray hairs to come into the room. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay, so to get you prepared for the conversations that, and the presentations that are to come, we would like for you to go to www.mentee.com. Once you get to the page, you will input the code 590270. 590270. Mentee.com. MENTI. 0270. Sorry? Oh, sorry, 707. Thank you. So it's 5902707. Mentee.com. MENTI. 5902707. 707. Are we getting on? Okay, so if you're on, you can go ahead and respond to the first question. What is your future career aspirations? Of course, some of you would have mentioned that already. Okay, so we have 6 responses so far. Nice. Parliamentarian, social worker. $59,707. Nice. Oh, forecaster. Entrepreneur is very broad. Okay. Mentee.com. Anyone else? Okay. All right, we'll move on to the next question. In one word, what does success look like to you? In one word. We're all on the second question? Okay, it's there? Is it there? We're on now? Okay. Okay. Ah, money. So in one word, what does success look like to you? Nice. So we can see that we all, view success from different perspectives. Nice. Okay, so we hope that this little exercise will, prepare your mind to start, thinking about your career aspirations and also thinking about success.
Okay, so we will now get into our presentations. And we will now ask Ms. Taisha Emmanuel to come and introduce our first speaker for this evening.
Good evening, everyone. Mrs. Shelia Rogers-Webster is the Manager of Corporate Affairs at the Anguilla Tourist Board. Mrs. Webster holds an associate's degree in business studies, a bachelor's of arts degree in art management, with minors in political science and business administration, and a master's degree in public management, local policy, and leadership. Mrs. Rogers-Webster is also a proud Chevron alumni who enjoys traveling, sports, and pageantry. Additionally, she organizes and facilitates personal development sessions for young women in Anguilla. She is a former Miss Anguilla Talented Teen, Miss Caribbean Talented Teen, and Miss Anguilla Queen. Mrs. Rogers-Webster is the recipient of Sunshine Theatre Arts Award 2014 for her work in the area of theater arts. She was also voted the 2015 Art Executive of the Year by the board, an artistic director of From Within Dance Anguilla. She's a member of the Anguilla Talented Teen Committee, core community group, the vice president of Gazelles Football Club, and serves as a pageant judge and coach. Mrs. Rogers-Webster is a mother, a wife, a global trotter, and a lover of life. Please put your hands together as we welcome Mrs. Shalea Rogers Webster.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I would like to start by thanking the Guild of Students for giving me the opportunity to present here this evening. I'd just like to speak specifically to Janisha, who has walked with me throughout this process. I found her to be extremely professional and everything to be very well organized. I was actually quite impressed with the entire process, so that's really, really awesome. So I was tasked, first of all, my voice is a bit gone. I was cheering very loud for Aurelia Kelly Primary School last week, Saturday, and it is still gone. So bear with me. I was given the topic this evening to speak on choosing your right career path. I'll first start by saying I definitely don't consider myself to be an expert or a guru on choosing your right career path, but what I'll try to do is to impart some knowledge and experience about some of my successes, some of my failures along the process of choosing the right career path, with the hope that it will help to inspire you, to help to keep you motivated and on the right track. So firstly, it's very important for you to explore your passions. Think about the things you enjoy doing. Things that give you genuine joy and satisfaction should be explored for employment opportunities. Determine whether they have the potential to bring real value or real income to you. So let's take, for example, swimming. You enjoy recreational swimming, but really, you want to live in Anguilla, and you have to ask yourself, will I be able to make a career out of swimming? Now, immediately, you might not be able to, off the top of your head, thinking, okay, I can't go to work every day swimming and earn a living. But if you think beyond that, perhaps, what career can you pursue that allows you to swim? So let's take, for example, maybe you can start a dive shop. So Anguilla is a tourist industry, and obviously that's an area that would be something that you could pursue as a career goal, starting a dive shop. It allows you to swim on a daily basis. It allows you to be in the water. So it's not just swimming, but it allows you to make money, and it allows you to do something that you really enjoy doing. So when you're thinking about exploring your passions, don't just think about doing that particular thing and making money from it, but think outside of the box, and don't necessarily limit yourself, because immediately it might not be able to make you money. Your strengths. Spend time identifying your strengths. Though they may not appear to be a natural fit for a career, they can be invaluable in your chosen profession. And I'd like to read a quote at this point. It says, "You can't take a romantic view on skills that have made you successful so far in life. For example, you might have been a straight A student, even though you have no passion for academics, or you're naturally amazing at basketball, but that isn't what you truly want to pursue. But one way those strengths can come in handy tremendously is by using them as a blueprint to discovering other talents that you may not have understood before." Now, I'll just say, when I was leaving school initially, I was really interested in tourism. First of all, I knew that I couldn't pay to go for school. I didn't have the finances to pay for it. So I needed a scholarship. So one, a scholarship in tourism was not available for me. And the other thing too was that the market at the time I felt was a bit saturated with individuals who were going off to school to study tourism. So I was searching around trying to figure out, okay, what will I do to help me to get to that point without one, spending my own money to get there. So I went and I started to consider looking at lots of different scholarship opportunities that were available.
And sure enough, a scholarship opportunity came up in arts management. Now, I'd never heard the term put together before, an arts management degree. So naturally, what I did is I went and I started to do some research, because research is really, really important. And I realized that arts management could be a perfect fit for me. Why? I had spent since about the age of 11, I had been involved in theater. I'd been involved in theater arts with the UWI Young Theater Players. I was also involved in dance, carnival throughout my teen years, and I had a natural love for the arts. I never really imagined that I could marry that love for the arts with pursuing a career. But here is a degree that immediately gives me the opportunity to do that, one. Two, it's a scholarship, which means I don't have to pay to go to school. So this gives me an opportunity to go to school. And so I applied for the scholarship. And I was lucky enough to be able to be the only applicant that applied for that particular scholarship. And I was successful right off the bat. So one, it was a theater arts, and the arts was a natural strength that I had. I never thought I would be able to pursue it as a career, but an opportunity presented itself, and I took up that opportunity, okay? All right, follow your instinct and don't fear failing. So trust your gut. A lot of times things are happening, you don't know what's going on with yourself. You know, you want to move in a particular direction, but there's so much fear that's bogging you down. People are telling you, don't do this, don't do that. A lot of times, and I think parents are guilty of this, they see their children having certain potential. So they immediately think, I want my child to be a lawyer or a doctor or one of these professions that come with quote unquote high esteem. When really, as a student, that's not your love, that's not your passion. So it is very, very important that when you're thinking about choosing the right career path, you're thinking about following your instinct, think about what's good for you. And also, don't fear failing. Don't second guess your abilities either. Learn to fail forward. Now, a good friend of mine, who happens to be a presenter here today, recommended this book for me. She said, it's very important that you read Failing Forward by John Maxwell. And I am very happy that Tahira recommended that book for me, because that book helped me to revolutionize my thinking about failure. I no longer am concerned about failing, because I understand that failing is an important part of life, because it helps you to realize that even though you failed at something, it's not the end. So if failing at something is not the end, then what's stopping you from trying something? Because you try something, it doesn't work, you move on to something else. I think one of the problems we have here in Anguilla, and even as students generally, is that we always fear. We fear life. We fear, what's going to happen when I go off to study? What's going to happen if I come back, I don't get a job in that field? Lots of things going on in your mind. So it's very important for you guys to read that book, Failing Forward, so that you revolutionize the way you think about failure. Also, this is specifically for the females. It's very, very important to read this book called Lean In. Funny enough, it was recommended to me by my now husband, he was my husband at the time, for a self-help book to read. I think he regretted recommending it later on, but this was a book that he recommended, and it's Lean In, and it's really a book that talks about how women think and how a lot of times we shortchange ourselves when we're thinking about a career path, when we're thinking about success, and we're thinking about our future. And some of the things that stood out for me in the book was that they say a man is usually so willing to take a risk. Even if he's not qualified for the job, even if he isn't prepared, he'll take the risk, he'll apply, he'll go in, he'll try to sell himself. A woman, on the other hand, will not do that. She will try her very best to get all of the qualifications, do all that's necessary to try to get herself in the room. And I think that's and I was guilty of that. And I never thought about it until I read the book. And one of the things that the book also talked about is going into a room and demanding certain things or asking certain things. Usually, a male would be more likely to go into a room and say, well, sir, this is speaking to their supervisor, sir, I've been really working hard over the past 5 years. I think I'm deserving of a raise. This is why. A woman, on the other hand, would be shoo-shooing for years and years, wanting that raise, deserving that raise, but just wouldn't want to take the step to go in the room and ask for the raise. And so I think there are a lot of different really good points in that book that talk about, how important it is to be able to understand who you are as a woman, understand your strengths, and really put your foot forward to demand what you deserve as an individual, okay? So it's very, very important to follow your instinct and don't fear failing. The next one is research. I can't underscore the importance of research enough. I think we as a people, we don't do enough research. Conduct extensive research on your potential career. What is the average annual salary? Is there an option to pursue your career and entrepreneurship at the same time? How time-consuming is the career? Does it allow you to have a healthy work and family balance? What levels of qualifications are required? Should I go to university in a specific region so that it's easier for me to gain employment once I'm finished? All of these are questions you should be asking yourself throughout that process of choosing your career and choosing the university that you are going to. I have a friend, my best friend actually. For a very long time, she knew she wanted to be in the hospitality industry. She wanted to be in tourism. She understood the sacrifices that would be necessary. And this is from the time we were in college. She practically said, my career comes first. I'm not going to have a family very early. I'm not going to necessarily engage in a relationship that is going to prevent me from excelling in my career. She understood that. She knew that. She did her research. She knew that the career path that she was choosing would limit her in certain areas, and she made that choice. Today, she is the director of operations for one of the largest Hyatts in Philadelphia. So at the end of the day, she understood what she needed to do. She did her research, and she made choices for herself to get her on that path. And that is so very important. In another case, I have another friend who was based in Florida for a number of years, and she studied pharmaceuticals and to be a pharmacist. And after she had finished her career, she got married, and her husband and her moved to Canada. She went into sort of a depressive slump because she studied for this particular career, but unfortunately she couldn't practice in Canada because she had an American-based degree in pharmacy. So for a very long time, she was very unhappy. This is somebody that had pursued a career that they really enjoyed, that they wanted to do. She didn't think about the big picture. She didn't think about the fact that she was engaged with someone that would be based in Canada and all of the implications. And luckily for her, about 5 years after, they decided to move back to the US because a career opportunity for her husband happened. So now she's working in that area again. But it's very, very important when you're choosing a career to think about where you ultimately want to live, where you ultimately want to be based, and what school or what region you need to study in to make that transition easier. This is especially important for persons who want to study to be a doctor or a lawyer, because depending on where you do your degree, you would have to do additional studies in another region to be able to go to the bar, things like that. So it's extremely important to do research. I think a lot of times we jump into careers, we jump into degrees, and we don't do the necessary research. Even things as simple as deciding what city to go to study in is so critically important to your overall academic career. I know people who have gone to cities that they have thrived in, that they've enjoyed. I know people who have gone to cities that they've absolutely hated because they felt unsafe. So it's very, very important before you make those key decisions to do your research. And now it's more easier than ever before to do research because you have access to the World Wide Web. Getting information is so much easier now. Seek advice from others. Ask a mentor. Getting advice from those who have walked the road before you is invaluable. Helps to avoid unnecessary mistakes. It offers diverse insight into the industry and specific companies. Ensure that you are getting advice from multiple sources to avoid biases. And mentors can help to keep you motivated when tough times hit. This is extremely important. A lot of times, sometimes people don't want to approach persons in their particular industry. Some feel intimidated. Some feel that the individual might feel intimidated by them because they are pursuing a career in their area. But I think it's very, very important for you as students and persons right now trying to determine the right career path for you to step out of your comfort zone and engage with persons who are there. You want to be an accountant. You want to be an entrepreneur. Look at somebody that is in that field, somebody that you would like to aspire to. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone who is at the top. It can be somebody who's entry level as well. Talk to them. Ask them about the university that they went to. Ask them about the programs that they did. Ask them about the experience that they have now. Ask them about companies that they've worked with. You know, ask about the organizational culture of that particular company. What's important to them. Again, it is invaluable and it offers you really, really good insight. Also, as you know, studies can be really hard, and it's easy to fall off the wagon sometimes. When you have a mentor who's there for you, who keeps you accountable and pushing you, it's extremely, extremely helpful for you. So always seek advice, and if possible, get a mentor that can assist you along the process, through the process. Okay, networking. This is a big one. There's a saying that it's all about who you know. Everywhere you go, you hear that. Oh, it's all about who you know. I didn't get the job because I didn't know the right people. Okay, so if that's the case, then get to know the right people. If it's all about who you know, then spend time getting to know the right people. That's my philosophy. Because obviously you can't change that it's about who you know. But what you can change is you getting to know the right people. The right network will get you access to opportunities, resources, support, motivation, and inspiration. Your name will be mentioned in the right rooms. That's critically important. Critically important. I always talk to people all the time. I've written a lot of recommendations for students who have interned with me at the Department of Youth and Culture. First of all, if that student didn't take the time to sign up for the job training program and then come to the program, and not just come to the program, but perform well in the program, then they would never have had the opportunity to meet me, to interact with me, and then I, in turn, would not have been given the opportunity to get to know them and to be able to recommend them to a job or give them a job opportunity. I cannot underscore how important it is to give yourself the opportunity to meet the right people, to interact with the right people. And notice that I said, not just that you take on the opportunity, you know, but that you work hard and that you do well in the area, because that also is important. Because me personally, I do not write recommendations for individuals that I would not recommend. That's just a rule of thumb that I have personally. So if you come to me and say, I have this job, I need a recommendation. If I don't feel like, one, I know you well enough, I'm going to recommend that you maybe go to a teacher or someone that you worked with. Or, on the other hand, if I feel as though I cannot recommend you, I'll be honest with you and I will say, well, based on the experience that I've had with you, I really wouldn't feel comfortable attaching my name to a recommendation for you. Because that's very, very important. Because I work in an area where I look at people's recommendations and I want to ensure that when I see a recommendation, it is truly a recommendation. And this person is saying, yes, this person is fit for the job, and not just that they're rubber stamping. So it's very, very important for you to create a network. Take advantage of opportunities. If they're mixers, just opportunities just like this to come out, to interact with people, to get to know people. That's critically important. Networking is absolutely essential if you are going to choose the right career path for you and if you're going to excel in that career. The next is preparation. Education is your gateway to the world. Education in the broadest sense. I think a lot of times when we say education, automatically you think academics. But I'm thinking about education in the broadest sense. I'm thinking about both academic and technical training. It is absolutely necessary. Do not let anybody tell you differently. There are lots of people in society that because of their own insecurities will say to you, oh, formal education is not important. Training is not important. I'm here to tell you, formal education is extremely important. It doesn't matter whether it's academic or it's technical. It is essential to progressing in your career. Research, as I mentioned before, is critically important. Make sure that you're choosing the right school. Make sure that you're choosing the right program. It's essential. I know of a student, an Anguillan student, went to the US, did her bachelor's degree, was very successful, came back, started working. She wanted to pursue her master's degree. She started a master's degree in St. Thomas, and then a year into the program, realized the program was not accredited. So the institution was accredited, but the master's program at the institution was not. She stopped, had to come back home. So again, enough research wasn't done. She just looked at the school, a very popular school, imagined every program there was accredited and just went to it. Again, research is important. Again, building your network is critical. Work as an intern, gain experience in the field. Okay, so Mary is my grandmother. She's passed away, but one of the things I remember her always saying, hard work never killed anyone. If your program offers you an internship, always take it, always. Volunteering is always a good option. It is critically important. I will give you a story about education in the Department of Youth and Culture. When I first started out, I was a teacher at Valley Primary. When I got the opportunity to study arts management, I went off to university, but I was still attached to education. I had never been in arts management before, never worked at the Department of Youth and Culture before, and I wanted to be able to work there before I came back from school. So I asked my next level manager about the opportunity to kind of transfer without officially transferring there. The next level manager said, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. The PS won't approve it. So what I did is I went a little outside of what I was supposed to do, and I spoke to the PS myself. And to my surprise, the PS said, oh, lovely, that's a lovely opportunity. I mean, that's great. When you come back, you'll fit right into the position, you'll know all about the department. Had I not taken the opportunity to approach the PS about the possibility, I probably would have still been at education and not been able to go and experience the Department of Youth and Culture ahead of coming back from school. So that's very, very important. Be an asset. Once you choose your right career, it's extremely important for you to be an asset at that place. Think outside of the box. Try to learn new skills. Be respectful. Willing to help others. Let your success make the noise. Deliver more than expected. And of course, have an attitude of gratitude. And finally, continue learning and redefining your value. Industries and professions are constantly changing. It's very important for you to be constantly changing with whatever profession you are in. Being in the right career means constantly learning and growing. What personal development opportunities are available? 12 months, and listen to this carefully. If you take nothing away, take this away. 12 months should never pass without some learning or training taking place. Never pass. Once you're in your career, it should never pass. And I'm speaking from experience because I'm constantly learning. I just completed a certification. So I'm not just telling you to do it, I'm telling you it's important. No, this is final for sure. Don't be afraid to change your career. So you've chosen the right career, you're doing well, and you just decide, it's not for me anymore. I want more time with my family. I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 30s, and I want a change of pace. Nothing is wrong with redefining the right career at that point in time. Okay? Any questions, comments? Okay, so just in case the audience didn't hear, but Ariel said, I talked about my career in arts management at DYC, and now I'm in tourism, and she just wanted to know a little bit about the transition from there. So as I would have mentioned before, tourism was always an area of interest that I've always had. I actually worked in the tourism industry while I taught, and while I was in sixth form, I worked at night at their restaurant. So I've always loved tourism and the industry generally. So once I came back from pursuing my master's degree. So I was based at the Department of Youth and Culture. I was a program officer for 2.5 years. And then I was promoted to the senior program officer for culture. And then right after my promotion, I got the Shielding Scholarship and I went off to university. So I was gone for a year. I came back. And one of the things that I realized when I came back is that I wanted to do a lot more policy development work. But I realized that I was still doing a lot of programming-based work. Not because there wasn't policy development opportunities, but just because there was so much programming work to be done that I was still bogged down doing programming work. So for me, it was like, well, I recently got this degree in public management, local policy, leadership. I want to be in a role that I'm able to create more policy. I'm able to do higher level strategic thinking and administrative work. I don't want to be bogged down in programming. So mentally, I had already started to kind of make the shift out of being in the position, being in the role. And then the opportunity for being in tourism happened. So the advertisement came out. I saw it. I saw that it was a natural fit. It was a different industry, of course, from what I was in. But I think in terms of what I had studied, in terms of public management, it was a natural fit for me to go in the corporate affairs position because it included a lot of duties and responsibilities that I would have gained in my master's level degree. And of course, again, the managerial role wasn't an issue because I had acted as the director of the Department of Youth and Culture on many occasions when Mr. Romney was absent. So again, I thought it was a natural transition. And on the other hand, also, and this is a personal one, I do have political aspirations. And I felt as though it would be nice for me to be in a statutory body as opposed to a government organization so that the transition to running for public office would have been an easier one if that opportunity presented itself. Okay? Yes.
Okay, we'll take one more question.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers-Webster. We will now have Ms. Disha Carter, who will introduce our next speaker for this evening.
Ms. Tahira Banks is very passionate to use her work to create opportunities for other people to live their dreams, particularly people that come from small islands such as Anguilla. She is passionate about entrepreneurship and technology. Specifically, she is committed to growing the economics of the Caribbean through the implementation of technology solutions, leading that movement from right here in Anguilla. Her hypothesis is simple. If we create more opportunities and platforms for people to believe in and realize their full potential, we start to see radical improvements in the way our economics work, the way our societies evolve, the way we treat each other. Ms. Banks is the co-founder of Thoughtful Digital Agency. Thoughtful is a digital marketing agency with offices in Anguilla and Houston, Texas. Ms. Banks created Thoughtful together with her partner, Mr. Gino Webster, to help brands around the world and specifically in developing regions do just that. Use their products and services to grow their businesses and empower people and other organizations in the communities they serve. Ms. Banks have been fortunate to have worked with diverse clients from across the United States, Los Angeles to New York, and throughout the Caribbean. Their team has achieved success with brands in tourism, entertainment, digital television production, telecommunication, commercial banking, research, energy, education, sports, and government. Help me welcome Ms. Tahira Banks.
Good evening, guys. How are you doing this evening? For some reason, I prefer to use this mic than this one. Nice. I switched out the presentation a bit before I Nice. Testing. Let me thank you guys, or thank the University of the West Indies Open Campus and the Anguilla Guild of Students for this opportunity to present here tonight at the ONENESS session. This was a very interesting time. And actually, before I begin, so I chose this because I want to be a bit more mobile, even though Gaff has told me I shouldn't move around too much, right? I do want to mention that I'm actually very proud to be on this panel tonight outside of all of the other esteemed presenters. I see two other members of my class born in 1989. She was Shelia Rogers-Webster and Miss Sherry Brooks here. And it just goes to show that 89 was really a special year. I did want to say that. Yeah, I'll give a round of applause to 1989. No, okay, maybe not. Okay, let me make sure this is good to go. All right, nice. Anyway, as we get started, I was given the topic, be your own boss, right? And this was an interesting topic for me, just because I know what people think about when they think of a boss. Sorry, trying to get this thing set up. Okay, nice. So when people think of, you hear a boss, what are some of the things you guys initially think about, right? How do you describe a boss? Give it your best shot. CEO, anybody else? Leader, anybody else? Anybody else from the Albina Lake Hodge Comprehensive School? A dictator? Okay. Okay, that was interesting. A dictator, that's fear. Anybody else? Anybody else think of anything when they think of a boss? Anybody in the back? Control? Okay, control. All of those are interesting. And actually, let me just go back to the opening slide to say that I didn't want to make this presentation too cliche about all of the things that you guys are accustomed to hearing when you think about how to be your own boss, which is essentially like entrepreneurship. But I did want to talk about all of the things that they don't tell you about being your own boss and being an entrepreneur and thriving in that arena. And I believe that myself and our organization is at a transition point right now, and I'd love to be able to impart some of the knowledge and experiences that we've had over the years through this presentation. So we've heard some very interesting words: leader, dictator. Anybody else? Last shot. Ownership. I like that one. That's kind of in the middle, right? So the dictionary definition of boss is a person who exercises control or authority. That's the dictionary definition of boss. I go to the Urban Dictionary a lot. Anybody else here use the Urban Dictionary? Like if I hear a slang, if like the younger people around me mention a slang, I go to the Urban Dictionary to try to figure out what it means. Why are you guys laughing? You use it all the time, right? I'm like, what? I heard that. What does this mean? So the Urban Dictionary defines a boss as a person who knows what he or she wants, knows how to get what he wants, and get it when he wants. He or she lives by his or her own code and does not care about what others think. That's a little rough, but that's how they describe a boss, right? What does society tell us it means to be a boss? What do you guys think society tells us it means to be a boss? Nobody? Yeah. Freedom. Nice, that's a good one. That's why I chose to be a boss. Anybody else? Someone who has employees, okay? Okay. Okay, so the boss doesn't work? Cordell, you're nodding your head. I'm peeping out from the corner of my eye, go ahead. Okay, anybody else? Okay, a boss is an entrepreneur. So I chose to share when I think of boss, the words that come to mind, or the people that come to mind. Or, I'm sorry, this is what society tells us it is to be a boss. I think a lot of times this is what society tells us it is to be a boss. Someone shouting at somebody, like just saying, do this, do that, and the employee help stop this bad person. But when I think of boss, these are people I think of. I think of Oprah Winfrey, shout out to Oprah, Sean Combs, Diddy. I think of Beyonce and Pablo Escobar, though he was a criminal boss. I also think of boss when I think of him, right? When I think of boss, I think of him. So what I thought when I was younger a boss really meant, that's what I kind of want to go into even before I tell you what I've learned a boss means. What I thought when I was younger a boss really meant. And Tanya Phyllis, this one is going to kind of make you laugh, or Auntie Phyllis, or Dr. Fleming Banks. So, as a disclaimer, I've always been actually really bossy, right? Shelly and I used to get in some arguments in primary school because she's bossy as well. But I don't know, I just couldn't help it. I enjoyed being in charge, and I still very much do. And this is Exhibit A from 1996 when I would have been maybe 8 years old. And this is from my cousin Jelani, who was my best friend then. And so he wrote, my best friend's name is Tahira Banks. She has short black hair and black eyes. She lives at Rendezvous Bay. She loves to play sports such as bike riding, cricket, and baseball. Sometimes she is a little bossy. Sometimes she is not. She gets angry very fast. She's 9 years old and very tall, right? But that really categorized me when I was younger, and I grew up a lot of times thinking that a boss meant a certain thing. And this is what I thought. I thought that a boss making my own rules and getting my own way. Because like I said, I like to be in charge. I also thought that a boss meant that I got to tell people what to do, and not the other way around. I also thought that a boss meant making loads of money. And someone put on their list that they define success as making money. I did when I was younger too. I still want to make money, but that's not how I define success now. I also thought that a boss meant ruling over everybody. That's the crown right there. And I thought a boss meant that life would be perfect. Disillusioned. What I learned, though, over the years is that none of that is necessarily true, right? So in our work through my business, and I'm speaking here from myself, I do have the advantage of co-leading our organization with Gino. So I have somebody to vent to and someone to kind of go back and forth with, but I'm going to share from my perspective. I learned that none of that is necessarily true. So when I think of be your own boss, what I really want to talk today about is the responsibility of leadership through entrepreneurship. Because if it is that you want to be an entrepreneur, if it is that you want to own a business, if you want to start something, if you want to grow something, what I had to learn was that I can't do it on my own. It is literally impossible to be your own boss on your own. You have to have people that you work with. And the only way you can succeed is if you work with people well, and if you figure out how to get them to work well and to move forward your objectives and your goals for the organization and for their lives. So being your own boss, I believe, is a responsibility of leadership through entrepreneurship. So one of the most fundamental, important questions that every boss, I believe, has to ask themselves, if you guys want to be entrepreneurs, and I'm going to use entrepreneur, boss, and leadership interchangeably tonight, right? One of the fundamental questions that you have to ask yourself is, what type of leader do I want to be? That is the question that every boss has to ask themselves. What type of leader do I want to be? What type of leader do I want to be remembered as? So some people say dictator. Some people say, somebody that just delegates. And some people have different ideas, but what type of leader do you want to be, and what type of leader do you want to be remembered as? And that's the important question that every boss has to ask themselves. Me personally, as I've grown and gone by, I have learned that I am actually not a boss. So Cordell, I'm going to reference my team a lot tonight. He jokingly sometimes calls me boss, but I'm not a boss. I am a team leader. I don't consider myself a boss. As an entrepreneur, I consider myself a team leader. And the people that we hire are not employees. They are our teammates, okay? That is the type of boss that I want to be, the type of leader I want to be, and the type of leader that I am, or I try to be. And if I'm not, they can slip you guys a note and say, she up here telling lies all night. Right? Literally, though, it says so in their agreements. And Cordell, sorry, I put the first part of your agreement on here. But this was when Cordell first started, first day of April 2018, between Thoughtful Agency Incorporated and the team leader, and Cordell Smith of Anguilla, the teammate. So there's nowhere in any agreement, I cannot call him legally my employee, because he's not my employee, he's my teammate. Why a teammate, though? Why as a boss, why as a leader, why as an entrepreneur do I choose to say that I want to be a team leader, and being my own boss is about being a team leader? Well, because leadership comes with the responsibility to nurture. Remember, we spoke about the fact that if you want to build something, you have to build people, and you have to build a team. You can't do it on your own. And the only way you can do that, the only way you can get people to move and to act, is to nurture relationships, is to nurture them and to nurture their growth, right? So think about if you're playing sports. Anybody here play sports? Come on. Anybody else? Okay, good. So think about if you're on a team, and think about if you missed a shot. You have a captain, or are you the captain? You the captain? Okay, so who, okay, anybody here that's not the captain? Okay, Jody. All right, nice. So you have another sport that you're not the captain of. Okay. Okay, cool. So football. So imagine you guys are on a team and you're not the captain, and you go up and you try to score a goal and you miss. Why were you doing? Why you on the bench? I go to play basketball this morning. I miss about 20 shots in basketball, right? If the default leader of my team had said, "Yo, go sit down," how would that make you feel, right? But it's the same thing as an entrepreneur. It's the same thing in the workplace. Your responsibility is to nurture, to support, to build people, to give them the tools that they need to grow and to be the best of themselves within the organization, to help the organization move forward and to move your entrepreneurial dreams forward. I believe that your people are a reflection of your leadership. This is a ticklish one, and I do expect a question about this afterwards because it's tricky. Because if you inherit bad people, then you're like, or not so good employees, and you're like, oh, But your people are a reflection of your leadership. And so as a leader, you are really represented by your people. And so that is why it's so important to build them, to nurture them, to grow them, right? I believe that being a team leader and being a boss, which is what tonight is really about, is also about embracing balance in those relationships, knowing when to push and when to pull, knowing when to be tough, because sometimes you have to be really tough, and that hurts, and knowing when to be soft, knowing when to be compassionate, knowing when to listen, which is almost always, you can't not listen, finding that balance, and knowing when to say, hey, we gotta do this, that, and the other, right? And being willing to be the bad guy sometimes, but doing it with love. Right? So finding that balance. And I believe that this is one of the biggest things that most leaders and most teammates struggle with is that balance, that in-between. I have to work on it myself even, or I have to continue to work on it. I believe that being a leader today is having a vision that's bigger than yourself. And a vision that requires the development of more leaders to create more solutions. So if you want to be a boss, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to move really massive goals forward, it's going to require you to have a vision that is bigger than yourself, because that's the only way people are going to buy into it. No one is just going to buy into a vision that's all about you. You don't get people to move if it's just about you. You get people to move when they see themselves being impacted, positively impacted by the vision. And when you equip them with the tools they need to move forward. So being your own boss is creating solutions that move your community and the people in your community forward. Does that make sense? Good. I believe that bosses build people. That's it. Bosses build people. You build your company, but the only way your company is built on people. So how to boss up? What are some of the daily opportunities that each of you have to be your own boss? And let me just say that I believe that there are different types of bosses, right? Or team leaders or leaders, whatever you want to call this tonight, right? There are different types of bosses. So whether you're a manager, whether you're a politician like Jose, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're just, in your classroom, you all have the opportunity to be bosses. You all have the opportunity to boss up, to lead people, and to move things forward. Excuse me. So how can you do that every day? Because I don't want this to be too abstract. I want you to think about things that you can do every day, even before you get to that place where, hey, I own this and that business. How do you boss up, and how do you build those qualities that empower you to be an excellent leader? Well, I think, like I said before, it starts with finding a big vision. Something that is bigger than yourself, something that people believe in, something that people will want to get up every day and move forward. Because I'll tell you, if you don't have a vision that is bigger than yourself, you won't last. It's tough. It's very tough. And I can't begin to say or share how many times I want to give up. I mean, just a few weeks ago, I was just so exhausted. And I remember driving home with Gino, and I said, what would happen if I just stopped? Like, if I just gave up? I considered it for a moment, not to say that I would do it, but the vision is so much bigger than myself that I know that I can't do that, because there's so many other things and people and opportunities that are reliant on my work and my effort. That's not self-grandiose, it's just the reality of the position that I've put myself in and the responsibility, because I have a vision that's bigger than myself. And I believe that everybody should seek to find a vision that is bigger than themselves, that can move them forward every day, even on the days when they don't feel like getting up and moving forward. You need to employ empathy. So you don't need to be a boss or a manager or the captain of your football team what was that? Volleyball. Well, you're volleyball, but you play another sport, right? So you don't need to be the leader to have a vision that's bigger than yourself, and you certainly don't need to be the leader to employ empathy. What is empathy? Anybody? Anybody? Nobody knows what empathy is? Okay, all right. All right, it's just compassion. It's just understanding people, taking the time to understand people. Listen to people, connect with people, have conversations, take the time to learn people. You don't need to be a boss to do that. You can do that every single day in your work, in your relationships, all these things. Practice employing empathy. Because when you get to be a leader, you can't fake empathy. You can't fake caring. When you don't care, I mean, when I don't care, you can look at my face and say, I don't care, because I just don't care, right? But you have to practice employing empathy. The other thing is to take risks and responsibility. This is big. Being a boss requires taking massive action. Being a leader, it's a lot of responsibility, it's a lot of risk, and it also requires a whole lot of accountability. It's scary, but like I said, massive vision requires massive risk. And when you're taking those risks, you have to be, as a leader, accountable for whatever happens. So anything that goes wrong, you have to be able to say, look, this is on me. Because if you're the head, this is on you. This ain't on nobody else. You are the boss. You are the leader. You are the captain. You are the politician. It's on you, right? You are accountable. You can't blame it on your people. It's on you. This is very important. Bossing up demands accountability, and you can do that day in and day out. You're in class, you're on a school project, whatever it is you're doing, things didn't go well. Oh, why she didn't do this and down the paper? We had this assignment, but she didn't do. But you're in a group. You're leading the group, right? So you got to get it done. It's not anybody else's responsibility. It's yours. Empower others. This is big. Real bosses create more bosses. It's not just about me being the boss. It's about creating more bosses who create more bosses who create more bosses. That's what it's about. That's pretty simple, I think. Real bosses create more bosses and empower people and train people up to realize the boss within themselves. And that's where we spoke about nurture. And I think one of the final ways that you guys can practice bossing up in your day-to-day lives is to stay principled. And this one is big. It's about standing on integrity and on values and doing the right thing regardless of whether or not it's convenient. That is one of the hardest things as a leader. Because sometimes it's like, yo, this is not necessarily convenient to me. But if it's right, it's right. If it's the right thing, it's the right thing. And as a leader, all you have is your reputation. You know, when Shelia was giving her presentation, she spoke about, you know, your network and what's not. When you stay principled and when you stand on integrity, your network respects that. That's how you grow your network. When people know, when I talk to Taisha, I'm looking at you because you're looking straight at me. Hey, I know when I talk to Taisha, she's gonna do the right thing because it's the right thing. Frauds always get found out. That's it, right? Frauds always get found out. So stay principled, do the right thing because it is the right thing, and know that it will always work out. It's always worked out for me. That's how I see it. Sorry. So that's it. Be your own boss. And I believe that we all have the potential to boss up in our day-to-day lives and to grow into the very best version of ourselves, to lead our communities and our island forward, because that's really important. If you guys have any questions, I'm here and open to answer. Yes, ma'am. Can't hear you. Oh, sorry.
One thing you said was to employ empathy. Do you think that most bosses should take a course, lad? You got my heart beating. Do you think most bosses should take, most persons should take a course in emotional intelligence to better suit themselves?
Can I be honest? I mean, there's some people who do psychology here. I don't know that you can teach can you teach emotional intelligence? Okay, here you go. You can? Sorry, I don't know, I just think it's about being decent. And so you can teach some of it, you can teach, but I feel like kind of, if you have to teach someone emotional intelligence, you kind of teach them to fake it, right? Unless the teaching is more like reconditioning their mind to understand and see people differently. But more than anything, it's about leaders, or great leaders are that's just who they are naturally. You know, they care about people, and they cultivate those things from the time they're a lot younger. Yeah. Any other questions? But that's a great question. Yes, ma'am.
You made a statement that you say you can inherit bad employees.
I knew that was coming.
Yes, I found it interesting. So you can like explain how can you inherit, like, you know.
How can you inherit bad employees?
Yeah.
Well, so
what do you mean by that then?
Okay, so, all right. So I won't give you a specific example, but what I'll say is that within my organization, I have the benefit of, it's my business, right? Gino and I own the business, so I get to hire who I want. So it's not a situation where, you know, somebody else is making a decision and then I just have to go with that. I have hired my team, and then I'm very deliberate in who I hire, and over the years I've had to become even more deliberate because I was not always deliberate. Whereas if you are now a manager, so I own my own business, if you're a manager, and that's bossing up as well, you're a manager, if you're a politician and you're inheriting people, like, right? So you inherit a team that might not be so productive, that might not be just a lot of things that you need. And so that is a challenge. And what I would say in a situation like that is different because I've never been in it, but so this is just a hypothesis because I've never been in it. But what I would say in a situation like that is you have to be very firm about what your needs are as a leader. And if it is that there's maybe a board or there's some other council or somebody that's making a decision, you need to be honest and transparent about your recommendations. You need to stand by it, and you also need to be prepared because your reputation as a leader hinges on the performance of your team. So if it is that over time you see, look, these people ain't getting no better, this has me looking bad, your people are a reflection of you, then you also have to be prepared to stand on your values and walk away and say, look, this money is great, but in reality, I cannot continue to accept your money and know that I'm leading a team that is really not productive in doing what it is it's supposed to be doing and achieving the goals. You're not getting as much from me. So that's a difficult decision that a lot of people struggle to make, but it's important. Yes, Callan. Oh, okay.
I know you didn't speak on choosing the right career path, but that was Shalia's presentation. However, I think you did speak at my high school graduation, and I do know that this was not your initial journey. Well, this wasn't your journey. So you didn't just get up one day and become your own boss. I would like to hear a little bit for the rest of the room about your personal journey to becoming your own boss.
You want me to give my journey?
I wanted to add to the question because I was going to ask it separately. For you to give us the one defining experience or moment that turned you into the boss that you are today.
Wow. I think the defining experience for me, it would have had to be after Hurricane Irma. I mean, I've always, had my own business. Like I said, I never wanted to say, per se, like work for somebody like that, even though when you own your business, you work for people, so it's still working for people because you work for your clients. But after Hurricane Irma, it was just, like I saw businesses that we had just go, and life just got very real. That's 3 years ago, so I would have been 27, 28. And I just felt like, look, this is not the time to mess around anymore. Like, you need to boss up. Like, this can never happen to you again. You can never be in a situation where you've lost everything. And you're here sitting down trying to figure out what's next and where you're gonna go. And that's gonna call for some serious decisions. So a lot of experiences before that, but that point in particular, just to see, I guess, maybe the shock of the devastation, and just knowing that you're starting back from zero. But like a conversation I had with the fifth formers the other year, I enjoy fresh starts. I enjoy starting over, and I believe in using them very wisely. And so after Hurricane Irma, it was like a reset for us. And we felt like, if we're doing this, we're gonna do it right. We're gonna do it great. And one of the first great things we did was bring on Cordell as a teammate, so that has really helped us. Yeah. With a haircut. Go ahead. Yes, Calvin. Oh, sorry. Well, yeah, it's similar, but it's a journey. I would just say that what made me transition to what I'm doing now and be actually here in Anguilla was the passing of my best friend Sil. So when he died, I just did not want to go back to the U.S. right then and there. I was very sad. I was in a very low, and I was just in a very bad place, and I needed to be home, and I also needed to earn. So I had just finished school. I had just graduated, and that was 2013, and I had just lost my best friend, and I had no money, and I just was in a very bad place, and all I had was just an idea for a business, and I just poured my all into that because it was better than thinking about, what I didn't have anymore.
I have a few questions.
Okay.
In terms of,
may I have some water, Ginny? The water, yeah. Go ahead.
in terms of growing your business, the stages and some of the steps that it took to get you from point A, which probably was like 0 to where you are now. That's one question. And then choosing the right people to work for you. How did you go about that process?
Okay, so the questions kind of intertwine because I am very transparent about, I get to stand up and give these speeches and all of that, but our business works the way it works because of the people that are on the team. We're a team and we work. And so if I say how we got to this place today, it has been the bossing up. That's why I made the presentation about your team. It has been just because we've built a really great team and we have really hardworking people and they work extremely hard. And one day they'll be able to look back and say it wasn't for nothing. I promise them that every day. But they work extremely hard, and Ariel and Cordell and Gino, of course, they've all not just worked hard on, and so this is how our business has gotten to where it is today. They've not just worked hard in terms of coming to work and doing the work, but they've worked very hard on what Shelia was talking about, building yourself and building your skills. You can't downplay that. You have to build your skills, because if they were exactly where they were a few years ago, I do not have inherent in me the skill sets necessary to run our business. And I'll never have all the skill sets. So it's a group of people that are required to make something work. And the only way that can work is if those people are committed to personal and professional development and lifelong learning, which is what Shelia was alluding to, or what Shelia spoke about. And so the fact that they are committed to that is what I attribute to the success of our business today. Because if they weren't committed to growing, then our product would not be growing. You know what I'm saying? So that's like the very simple version. And in terms of hiring and building the right team to lead, I think it starts with questions. I've learned to ask a lot of questions. So I ask a lot of questions. And following your gut, Shelia also spoke about that. Following your gut and knowing that, like, if your gut is telling you, look, this person is bad news. Like don't turn around and just be like, I'm still gonna go with it because I'm desperate. Well, actually, what I'll attribute it again to 2017, the fall. I listened to a podcast by a guy called Andy Frisella. He's he swears a lot in his podcast. It's fine for me, but some people might find it offensive. But he had a podcast on hiring. And what he spoke about was, before you hire somebody, you actually need to discourage them from taking the job. And so he spoke about saying, like, telling them, like, look, you don't want this job. You will never be paid as much as you're working. Like, you'll never feel like you're getting as much as you're being paid. Like, try to discourage them. Tell them, look, if there's anything else you could be doing, go and do it. And really go hard about all the reasons why they shouldn't take the job. And if they take the job after that, then there's a chance that they might be the right person for the job. And so we've tried to do that and just be very transparent and not approach hiring. I believe before 2017 or before Irma, I approached hiring more like, well, I hope this person will come and work for me. And whereas now it's like, nah. Like we get requests and calls and emails and what's not for jobs, but we're very discerning about who we allow into the space, because you have to really want it and you have to be willing to go really hard, because else, again, it's a team. So then it brings down the team if you're not. That's it. Good. That's it?
Any other questions?
Okay. But thank you guys for the questions, and thank you again for the opportunity. You had a question, Taisha? What's your question? Go quick. You don't have a question?
I don't necessarily have a question, but I think I have a comment on emotional intelligence. I think it is a matter of knowing your team and being vigilant in regards to where I can walk in a room and tell the mood of everyone. And that comes with being a leader. And I am in a lot of, I can say I am in a lot of leadership positions, and where I am mostly the one to make decisions. But being on my volleyball team, I am the aggressive one. So now my whole team would be like, sometimes where they would see me being loud and aggressive, they would turn to me and say, Ty, you need to be more calm. And then I would look around and look at everyone and see their mood and realize that something is wrong with one. Because my strongest player is playing weak. And I am wondering why she's playing weak. Come to find out that she was experiencing something. So I learned from that experience and use it for my next game. When I had my next game, before we started, I asked every single one of them, how are they doing? Are they going through anything? What is happening? And we build a relationship from there. It is a matter of being observant, being vigilant, understanding who you are working with. And sometimes our environments makes us who we are. So once you understand the environment they come from, you would know why they retaliate or act in a certain manner.
That's a great point, Taisha. I want to give you a round of applause for that. And just to say that is essentially what we have to do as leaders all the time, and that I see the team even employing and the other people that we work with know, is that, my team can attest. I won't, obviously it's not appropriate to go into specifics, but if there's anything wrong, like I try to always read them. Like I can look at them. I'm with them. How many hours a day we're together? Why? Like we're together a lot of hours a day. So if something is off, like I ask them, and I'm very persistent about that. And I say, well, and I ask a lot of questions. And if something is wrong, we will literally stop all work to try to rectify that. And that's really important, not to just allow people to, be in a bad place. So thank you guys again. Appreciate the opportunity.
I will now invite Ms. Lynette Carter to invite our third speaker for this evening. And quickly after that speaker, we'll go into a short break where we'll have a raffle, and you will support our vendors to the back, Sasha's Fresh Lemonade and Creative Cream Creation.
Good night, everyone. Life is not meant to be lived on the sidelines. It is the personal mantra of Sharice Brooks, strive to live by. She is deeply passionate about female empowerment and seeks to empower and inspire others. In 2016, Sharice started the business of chic, www.thebusinessofchic.com, a lifelong blog where she shares her personal style, travel adventures, natural hair journeys, business tips, and quirky musing on life. She hopes that her style, words, and experience can either help or inspire individuals, especially women. Through blogging, Sharice developed an avid interest in social media and offers her services as a social media management consultant to small businesses. In her capacity as HR professional, she trains and coaches individuals and groups in the area of good governance and personal and professional development. Sharice strongly believes that learning and training are the keys to success and national development. Her educational background includes a Bachelor's of Arts, honors in business management, specialization in human resource management, and a Master's of Science in governance and policy. She is proud to be a Chevenet alumni and a Women's Week 2020 honoree. Let's put our hands together and welcome Sharice Brooks. should be presenting marketing yourself.
Good night. How is everyone tonight? Excited? Feeling good? So I kind of feel like I'm about to be like, I want to adopt the protocol, but I do want to say thank you, like the other presenters, to the UWI Guild and to the University of West Indies for having me tonight and for just putting on such a inspirational event for all of you here today. So let's give them another round of applause. When I received the email from Janesha to speak on the topic, marketing yourself, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit surprised because marketing is not actually my academic background. My academic background is in human resource management. So after this, Janesha, you'll just, whisper in my ear exactly why you thought of me, but I do thank you for thinking of me because it made me think a lot about the topic at hand. And I like to think too that maybe you asked me because you think I'm good at marketing myself? I like to think so. But tonight, I'm going to speak to you about powerful personal branding. So you'll notice the topic I have is not exactly marketing yourself. It's because I want to go a step further, a step deeper. And I want to think about something that is going to last and have a more lasting impact than just simply marketing yourself and having strategies to maybe help you to land a job. I want you to think about developing a powerful personal brand that can take you through life. So, I am an introvert. Anyone in here identifies as an introvert? Raise them high, raise them high. The extroverts would be like, woo! So raise them high. I am an introvert. If you know me personally, or you know me from my blog, The Business of Chic, or you've even just seen me around, you might find that a little hard to believe. Well, I'm going to tell you exactly why I think I'm an introvert. So early in the year, when the coronavirus pandemic hit, we had to quarantine, we had to stay inside for a bit. So I stayed inside for 5 weeks. And when I say I stayed at home and I stayed inside, I mean I stayed at home and I stayed inside. I did not leave my house literally. That is how much of an introvert I am. I know, for the extroverts, it's kind of crazy to imagine, And I live alone too, so don't think I had anyone talking to me or anything like that. And I was happy. When I tell you I was happy, I was like, give me another 5 weeks. That's how introverted I am. So I know you're probably thinking to yourself, so why am I telling you this? Well, I make this point to show you that there is no specific personality type necessary to build a strong personal brand. When people think about marketing or marketing yourself, they think of it as a very extroverted activity, and it is a very extroverted activity. Marketing yourself will require you to really push yourself outside of your comfort zone and really push yourself to the limit. So, I remember when I first started the business of Chic back in 2016. So I was at the University of Southampton in the UK, and I didn't have anyone around to take my pictures. So I had to use a tripod, my camera, and every weekend I would trot down to the city center, and I would take my pictures in the city center. So I would be there taking my pictures. Mind you, this is in a public area. So I'm taking my pictures, trying to find the right angles. And there would be people passing by, living their life, doing their errands, and they would be just watching me. And through the corner of my eye, I could see them watching me. And I knew they were just thinking to themselves, like, what is this girl doing? And I'm like, I was embarrassed. I'm not going to lie to you. It was very embarrassing, and it was very uncomfortable. But every weekend, I found myself down at the city center regardless, taking my pictures in public, bearing the embarrassment. Why? Because I knew I was trying to build a personal brand, and I knew I was trying to build my blogging business. So I worked through the discomfort, and I did it anyways. So what exactly is a personal brand? Anyone want to try and guess, or just even give what they think a personal brand is? Authentic, very, very, very true, great word. Anything else? Anyone else want to hazard a guess? A personal something, yeah, that represents something that personal that represents you. You are at the core of your personal brand.
It's what other people think when they
On the nail. He nailed it. He nailed it. That is exactly what it is. It's not, a lot of people think personal brand is what you think of yourself or the story you have about yourself. But actually, it is how other people perceive you. The summary that other people have in their head about who they think you are as a person. It is what people say about you when you are not in the room. So there is one question I want you to consider, firstly. Is your current brand the most accurate, positive, and authentic representation of you? So literally think about that. A lot of people don't think that they have a personal brand. But in reality, each and every one of us, whether we are conscious that we are building it or not, has a personal brand. So consider what kind of first impression you are currently making. It is a memorable one? Is it a memorable one? Is it a lasting one? Is it a favorable one? Because a lot of people make bad first impressions. The first impression you create will determine how people treat you. I also want you to think about your image. Our physical image is the first thing that people notice about us when they first meet us. So what does your image say about you? Does it say, I'm competent, I'm confident, I care about the way I dress and the way I look? Or does it say, I don't take pride in my appearance, I don't pay attention to detail? These are all things that we need to pay attention to when we are cultivating a strong personal brand. A powerful personal brand can set you apart from the crowd. It can help you differentiate yourself, and it can be the difference between you getting the job or the other person getting the job. So how can you go about defining your personal brand? Start with you first. Ask the people around you who you respect and who you trust to be honest with you. What do they think about you? What do they think is your personal brand? How would they summarize you if you were not in the room? How would they describe you if they were going to recommend you for a job? Be open to constructive criticism and willing to change. This is the starting point for you, because now you are aware of how others perceive you. Developing your personal brand is a journey of self-awareness. Now that you have an idea of how others perceive you, consider whether this profile matches with how you want to be perceived. If it does, great, excellent, doing well. If it doesn't, consider your core values and attributes. What are you passionate about? What do you love doing the most? What do you want others to feel about you? What emotions do you want to evoke from others? Write down 3 to 5 attributes or core values that represent who you want to be, and work every day to embody these words through your image, your actions, your online presence, and your interactions with others. Remember, if you don't define your personal brand, someone else will. The next thing I want you to consider is intent without action is futile. You remember earlier when I said marketing is all about stepping outside of your comfort zone and putting yourself out there? Well, the bad news is you're growing, but it's uncomfortable. The good news is it's uncomfortable, but you're growing. You've defined your personal brand. You've identified the unique traits that make you you. But it's no good being the best kept secret. So it's time for you to show and share your talents and gifts with the world. You have to raise your profile. Have you ever noticed when you come to events like these, forums, panel discussions, you tend to see the same faces? I know, I don't know if any of you know me, but you might have seen my face. We've seen, of course, my 1989, Shalia, Tahira, Jose, all, great speakers. I just met Miss Fide, but it was a pleasure meeting you. And I'm sure, and I know for a fact, that all of us, we have our talents, we all are very good at what we do. But does that mean that there aren't other people in Anguilla who might very well be able to deliver the same way we deliver and be able to deliver on their talents the same way? Of course it doesn't. But we don't see them the same way. Why is that? Well, these people who constantly get chosen, they get chosen for a reason, because they are the ones that stand out. These people have managed to build such strong and influential personal brands that even when they are not in the room, their name is constantly being mentioned favorably. So whether you are just leaving school and you're entering the job market for the first time, or you're already in the workforce and you're hoping that an advanced degree will help you to get to another level or get a promotion, or like many of you here today, you're thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, this is exactly what you should be aiming for when you think about cultivating your personal brand. Build a brand so strong that your name is the one that's being mentioned for that job, for that promotion, or for that client contract. So how exactly did these people do it? How is it that they made such an impact? How is it that they continue to be noticed, that they stand out, and they continue to get chosen? Well, here's what I think. Firstly, they created value. They did this through telling and sharing a compelling brand story that persons found relatable, inspirational, or aspirational. They curated relevant content online, and they positioned themselves to be a leader or expert in their field. Raise your hand if you are active on 2 or more social media platforms. I know everyone here loves social media. I know I do for sure. Instagram is my thing, I'm not gonna lie. But I know there's a lot of young people in here, so just to keep me up to date, just tell me some of the new platforms. TikTok, okay. So many of you are on 2 or more platforms, and how many of you in here use the platforms for solely entertainment purposes? And how many of you use it for solely business purposes? And how many of you use it for both? Okay, that's great. That's a lot of you, that's great. If you are not currently using social media to build your personal brand, then you need to start today. Social media is a powerful tool to help you cultivate a powerful personal brand and raise your profile. Be consistent with your messaging and use your brand voice across platforms. 2 other great ways to raise your profile include speaking, like we're doing here today, and writing. So whether it's a blog, thebusinessofchic.com, public speaking, podcasts, share your ideas, share your knowledge, put yourself out there. I mentioned earlier that I was an introvert, and I always tell people that I had to teach myself how to be social, because it is not my natural inclination to be here, standing in front of you, speaking to you. I would prefer to be at home, watching Netflix. That's where I'm most comfortable. But regardless, I've taught myself over the years, like for example, when an opportunity comes, and even though you're like, no, I don't want to do that, like I'm afraid, I'm scared, I've taught myself how to say yes. Say yes even through the fear. Feel the fear and do it anyway. And that's what I do. So even when Janisha messaged me and I saw marketing yourself, I was like, marketing yourself? I was like, yes, I'll do it, I'll figure it out, that's all right. So when you see people like me, people like Shelia, because I know Shelia and Tahira could probably even attest that when they come up here, it's not to say they're just so confident that they don't feel nerves anymore and they don't feel, any kind of fear. They do, but they feel the fear and they do it anyway. So that's something when you're building your personal brand that I want you to remember and to keep in the back of your mind. The moments when you're feeling demotivated, when you're feeling scared, just continue to push and continue to keep going forward. The second thing they did, and we spoke a lot about this today, was they networked with purpose. And I'm not talking about going to a networking event or even to an event like this today, and I'm speaking to you and you're speaking to me, and we're asking each other generic questions like, how are you? So what do you do? And then we both leave the conversation, we exchange cards, we both leave the conversation board, we go home and we never speak again. I'm not talking about that kind of networking. I'm talking about networking with purpose and intent. I'm talking about making genuine, authentic, non-transactional connections that have depth and are long-lasting, and putting real effort into deepening these connections and building trust and loyalty. There's a quote that says, your richest resources will always be in your richest relationships. And another popular one, especially on social media these days, is be friends with people who will mention your name in rooms full of opportunity. Both of these are extremely right. And because Shelia spoke so much about networking, I thought she really nailed it. I'm not going to go any further. But really and truly, I can't underscore the importance of networking. And as I said, not just the bland networking where you're asking questions that require no creativity. when I was watching a TED Talk, and some of the questions they said to ask would be things like, have you worked on anything interesting lately? You know, do you have any vacations coming up? Actually show people that you have a real interest in them, not just a transactional interest, not just trying to get what you can get from them. It should be a two-way street, and it should be meaningful. The third thing that these people did to stand out is they embraced authenticity. You might be able to fake a persona online, but you cannot fake a persona in real life. It is a lot harder to fake it when the person is standing in front of you, and I think Shelia mentioned this, when you are required to follow through with an action. So don't even bother trying. Rather, lean into your authentic self. Embrace your diversity. Use it to your advantage. Be consistent and follow through with who you are trying to portray yourself to be. Remember, at the heart of your personal brand is you. At the end of the day, when cultivating a strong, powerful personal brand, never forget this one thing. No one is you, and that is your superpower. Embrace it. Show up well. Create value. Build a brand that is authentically you. Make every moment count. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Sorry? Okay, sure. Okay, sure. Oh, this? No problem.
Any questions? Sorry.
I was curious. I learned that you're an introvert tonight. So I wanted to know what made you decide to be a vlogger. I mean, I know you can, being a vlogger, you can hide behind a screen, but you have to show so much of yourself and consistently. So I wanted to know what made you decide, what led you to that decision, basically?
My passion was greater than my introversion. So I was more passionate about clothing and fashion and style than I was hiding behind being an introvert. And also, my journey towards learning how to be social, so I'm actually very social, but learning to be social started a long time before I ever thought about becoming a blogger. So all of that helped me. So at first, actually, to be honest, it actually took me a while to put out my blog. From 2, 3, 4 years before, people were telling me, Sherry, you should start a blog, you should start a blog. And I was like, yeah, next week. But, it was only when I went to university and I had some free time on my hands, and I was, honestly, a little bit sad, a little bit lonely. SAD, SAD, seasonal affective disorder in the UK was real at the moment. And I thought to myself, why not? Why not? No, there's no time like the present. And so I just dove full forward in, and here we are today. Yeah. Yes.
You spoke about building your personal brand, and then you said you have to look at your outward personality and also how you portray yourself. Which one do you think is more important? Personality-wise, or how do you, because people can view you both ways,
So she's asking which is more important, personality or outward appearance? Both. It's a package deal. It's not one or the other. Both matter. It's a holistic approach to building a brand. So you can, for example, carry yourself well. Maybe your image is professional. Maybe your tone, how to, you have the right tone. But, you have a terrible personality. That's not going to translate into a good reputation for you, because they'll be like, she looks good. She talks the talk, but she doesn't walk the walk. So it doesn't work like that. It has to be a holistic approach where you kind of everything has to align with everything else. And also, it's just outside of even getting a job, it's just good for you for your personal life in general, because you're kind of developing a personality that's going to help you throughout the rest of your life. Because some people think that personal branding is a little bit tacky, that it's kind of fake, but in reality, it's not. While it is seen as a marketing tactic, it's really more about developing the essence of you. And to do that, you really have to take a holistic, full approach. So it's not one or the other. Okay, so thank you guys.
Thank you. We'll now ask Ms. Janisha to come and welcome our next speaker, and then we'll go into our break, I promise.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, so our next presenter will be the Honorable Jose Vanterpool, and he will be talking about digitizing your value. Okay. With a vision of seeing Anguilla become the digital capital of the Caribbean, presenting on the topic of digitizing your value is the Honorable Mr. Jose Vanterpool. Mr. Vanterpool, Anguilla's youngest parliamentarian, is a past island scholar who has since returned home to contribute to his country's development. Mr. Vanterpool holds a Master's of Engineering degree in Computer Science, and when not in Parliament, offers his services locally as an IT consultant and software developer. Mr. Vanterpool believes that technology can be used as a catalyst to both diversify Anguilla's economy and provide an avenue for locals, especially the youth, to create value and grasp opportunities. Please put your hands together as we welcome Honorable Mr. Jose Vanterpool.
Thank you, Janisha, for that kind introduction, and good evening to all. Like Sharice, I would like to start off by adopting the protocol. And first of all, saying thank you to the UWI Open Campus, as well as the Anguilla Guild of Students for inviting me to be here this evening. And I too have to give a very special shout out to Ms. Janisha. Sorry for all of the headaches and all the runaround I had you going through, but behind the scenes, she was working very hard to make sure that everything was intact, everyone was organized, and even when you tell her, yeah, I get into that like 10 times later, she still had a very nice and upbeat attitude. So, very commendable. So, first of all, I wish I was a panelist and not a presenter, and the reason I say that is, after each of these presenters, I just feel like coming up here and being like, yes, I hope you guys are grabbing on to all of the nuggets you're getting. To say it first and foremost, Shelly has said something that I constantly tell people, and I want each and every one of you to leave with it. Sharice also highlighted again, do not forget, networking is key. Some people say it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. I believe it's about both. Get yourself into those rooms, meet the people you need to know, be able to come with them from an informed perspective, and that's why I say you need to know. You can't just approach them and be like, I want your help without knowing or researching. You have to come to them and show them that commitment. So prepare yourselves and then act on it. So my topic today that I was asked to speak on is digitizing your value. Now, I think that this was a bit of a bait trap because the moment I saw the topic had something to do with digitize, I was just like, yes, I will do it, I will talk, no problem. But then I was at home and I was like, what does it actually mean to digitize your value? And that was actually a much tougher topic than I anticipated. So I hope a lot of you were listening to Sharice's presentation because she gave you the answer to the first question. What is value? By the way, this is going to be a very interactive presentation. I did not come up here all night to speak to you guys. So shake off the tiredness if you're tired. I expect answers. We're going back and forth. We're doing this. So, who can tell me what is value? What do you think value is? Don't all come at once. Something that is of benefit to others or yourself. Yes. Can I take one more guess? One more try? Well, not guess. Can I get one more person to say what their definition of value is or what value means to them?
Can I try?
Sure.
Something of importance.
Value refers to something of importance. I like these definitions. So what I have here, we're going to be very simplified tonight because I don't want to spend all stories. So I have here, value can be used to refer to a number or a quantity, but in finance or business, well, everyone here came tonight, they either want to be entrepreneurs or we're looking to make some money. So we're going to refer to it to value as referring to worth. Specifically for our purposes, let's consider value to mean the worth of a good, service, skill, or asset. So simply, how much is something worth? Now, whether we determine how much something is worth based on how much we think it's worth or someone else is something that we can discuss towards the end. So if you're interested in that, be sure to ask that question. So in presenting tonight, I'm going to take a bit of an unconventional approach. I'm not going to speak to this topic through my own experiences. When I thought about this is the first thing that came to mind in terms of what is value and how do you create value. Now, my question is, how many of you have ever tried to come up with the next one of these? The next $1 million idea. How many of you have ever sat at home and just be like, I need to make some money now? What gonna be the next thing? All right, so at least it ain't just me. So in thinking of this though, you have to really think, okay, I can't give you the answer to that. I'm not a millionaire, I wish. And unless some of you want to show your bank accounts, I think it's safe to assume that none of us in here have figured out the answer to this question, at least to produce the results. So I figured let's approach this evening's topic, this evening's discussion or presentation through the lenses of those who have answered this question and try and figure out what it is that they did to get there. So, in essence, we're going to be trying to figure out what it is that we are doing wrong. Now, we referred to some popular social media platforms earlier this evening. How many of these company logos do you guys recognize? 3, 4. So I deliberately picked these companies because I figured most persons in this room will be using at least 3 of them. And then there are another 2 that I wanted to challenge people. So what's the first logo? Instagram. I expected you to be the loudest, Sharice, not because you're an introvert. Oh, sorry, so sorry. So Instagram, what's the second logo at the bottom? At the bottom. WhatsApp. I know for sure everyone uses that. So let's go back up to the top middle. What do we have there? Snapchat. What's next? We have Airbnb in the top corner, and what's that in the bottom? No, that is one of the Uber logos. So everyone in here was actually spot on. Yes, I know they did change the logo to have the word Uber, but that would be too easy. So I picked one of their other logos. But it's safe to say that everyone in this room was able to identify these logos, and that shows how much we actually use them. Now, the fact that all of us use these apps somewhat daily, multiple of them daily, shows that we ourselves must find some sort of value in them. We must find some sort of worth. Even if it's just entertainment, if it's business, we would not be using them if we did not see some sort of value in them. So, to put things into perspective, we find them valuable so we use them, but how valuable are these companies? Let's reference Instagram. Who can tell me how much they think Instagram is worth? Billions, yes, but how many billions? We have 26.5 billion, we have 40 billion? 35? Well, I did a quick Google search earlier because before coming here I was like, okay, this would be a good fact to know. Don't quote me on this, but according to Forbes 2018, Instagram was worth $100 billion. That was 2018, these companies grow every year. So we should be thinking, what does it take for us to be building the next Instagram, to create and generate the next value of the next WhatsApp? And that's what we're going to be looking into this evening. So let's examine the stories of some of these companies and try and figure out how these companies created and digitized their value. Now, the infographics that I'm going to show, I did not create them. I'll show where the sources are from, but these are infographics that I came across on the web a few years ago and that I constantly go to when I'm having like those, you need an inspirational moment. You need that will to keep on pushing. You need to say, you know what? Keep trying, and then one day maybe you'll get there. So I'm hoping that it has the same effect on everyone here as well. So the story of Instagram and how Instagram got started. So the writing will be a bit hard for some to read, so I'll read it out loud. But we're essentially following the pictures from the first dot down to the end. It's a roadmap. So how did Instagram get started, or the story of how 2 guys made an app in 8 weeks? That's right, Instagram, the $100 billion company, was created in 8 weeks. It started when Kevin learned to code at night after work. Kevin decided to build an HTML5 prototype, which he called Bourbon, which is the second image. He's sitting down coding. Kevin gave this new app, Bourbon, that he created to some of his friends just to use. You know, you create a cool new game or something, you just want to show it off, get some feedback, see what it's like. Kevin met some investors at a party and showed them the app. So, you know, casually just pull out your phone and be like, this is what I do, this is what I'm working on, check it out. After speaking with those investors, Kevin took the jump and decided to quit his job, something that most people find terrifying, if not even slightly scary. Most people find it absolutely terrifying. But after that, the same investors who he spoke to at that party, networking is key, decided to give him $500,000 of investment funding. With this, Kevin met Mike. Again, networking. Kevin must have realized that maybe he needs a partner. He may not have had all the skills himself. So he wanted someone else to create this thing with. So he met Mike, and they looked into what they had. They had an app that did everything from check-ins like Foursquare to photos, as you know Instagram and Facebook does. They decided to focus specifically on photos. Take one thing and do it well. Seems like a good idea, right? They created a prototype, a photo sharing app from scratch. They built a pretty awful photo sharing app. And then after building that awful app, they decided, you know what, we're gonna scrap this, we're gonna go back to what we created first, Bourbon. They made Bourbon into an iPhone app, but then they realized, you know what, it feels a bit cluttered because this isn't what we set out to create. We created something and we're developing it, so it's just evolving, and it evolved to something that you're like, we need to cut down on this a bit. So once again, they threw everything out. They only left the photo aspect of it, and they renamed Bourbon to Instagram. After 6 weeks, they decided, we're going to launch Instagram. They launched it on Monday, and after a few hours, it became the #1 photo app on the internet. As it says, in a few hours. This is the power of technology. Technology allows you to take your value, whatever it may be, and transcend borders, to reach people across distances, and all of them at the same time. Currently we're doing this presentation as a live stream. Before, whatever discussions would be here would be limited only to the persons in this room. Right now we're connected to persons all around the world. This is the power of technology, and grasping technology allows you to kind of expand and digitize your value. So that's the story of Instagram. This infographic is titled Too Poor to Succeed, and it's the story of WhatsApp. It's titled How WhatsApp Founder Jan Koum Went from Wealthier to Billionaire. So here's the story of WhatsApp. In 1976, Jan Koum was born in Ukraine. At the age of 16, following the timeline coming across, he came to the United States with his mother. They used to live on food stamps, and he used to work as a janitor. At the age of 18, he decided to learn how to code. At, I believe that is 19, at 19 he starts college, decided he doesn't like it, and decides to quit. At 21, he got a job at Yahoo. Now, think, Yahoo's a tech company. Even without a college degree, he pursued coding and learning to code because it's something he wanted to do, and he was able to land a job at a tech giant without a formal degree, just showing that there are several pathways to success, and you don't necessarily have to follow a traditional one. Although, as Shelia said, and I will reinforce, I think it is important. It's not necessary, but it is helpful, and if you can, please do. Now, so he started at Yahoo at the age of 21, and at the age of 30, decided to quit Yahoo. So worked there for about 9 years and decided, you know what, I actually hate this job. And really think about it. A lot of you are from the high school. Imagine spending 9 years of your life doing something that you absolutely hate. Exactly, like when you really think about it and you realize that's literally like half your life, it's just like, no, it doesn't make sense, right? But unfortunately, that's what a lot of people do. But at the age of 30, he decided to quit Yahoo, and at the age of 32, decided to start WhatsApp. Now, this little line here shows that it didn't even take 3 or 4 months before he decided he wanted to do away with WhatsApp. Maybe it was too hard, maybe it wasn't coming through, maybe he just couldn't see the way. He just wanted to quit after just a few months. At the age of 37, 5 years after he started WhatsApp, he sells WhatsApp to Facebook for $19 billion. 19 with a B. And that goes to show, if he had stuck with that job at Yahoo that he hated so much, he would have never realized his true potential. If he had given up on his dream before deciding, you know what, I want to stick it out and see where this could go, he might have been back at Yahoo by now. So, never give up. A brief story of Snapchat. So this would be more familiar with the younger ones here. In July of 2011, there was an app called Peekaboo. And it was essentially the first version of Snapchat, and it had 127 users. In the fall of 2011, they decided, you know what? We're going to rename from Peekaboo to Snapchat. Now, I don't know if it was just a name change, but maybe it was. No one wants to be like, you know what, I'm out here on an app called Peekaboo. But in the same fall that they changed the name from Peekaboo to Snapchat, they went from 127 users to 100,000 users. So, in December of 2012, Snapchat launched an Android version. Now, this is important when you think about it. Think of your value. Think of something, for example, an author, a writer. You just wrote a book. Would you not want to put your book on a digital copy like Amazon and sell it around the world? Or would you insist on selling physical copies to those around you who you can reach? How do you maximize your potential and your value? They created an app that had hundreds of thousands of users, but it was only on iPhone. Now, most of phone users around the world use Android. So if iPhone users find this app to be valuable or interesting, then why not create a version where you can get that value out to more persons? So again, they used the technologies that were available to kind of expand the value of the project they had by widening the scope of the persons they targeted. By doing that, So that was in December of 2012. Also in December of 2012, just days before Christmas, Facebook launches Poke, an app which everyone just was like, it's just a Snapchat clone. It does the same thing, Facebook trying to be Snapchat. No, Snapchat just continued on as is. They didn't bother with Facebook. They just focused on building their own business. In February of 2013, there were over 60 million snaps sent per day. 60 million per day worldwide. So in May of 2013, 150 million snaps sent per day. So let's get that right. Between February and May, they went from 60 million snaps a day to 150 million snaps per day. I believe that's a 250% increase, which is very impressive, especially if you're looking at a period of 3 months. Now, in fall of 2013, Snapchat decides, you know what, we have a good product, we're building momentum, they were going to add stories to our platform. Probably Facebook decided that, you know what, we can't outrun Snapchat, they have the market, so if you can't beat them, you join them, but in the world of business, if you can't beat them, you buy them. So, November 2013, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, he offered the founder of Snapchat $3 billion for his app, for his platform. So, let's contextualize this. In July of 2011, Snapchat in its first form has 127 people, and in November of 2013, they're getting offered $3 billion for Facebook to buy their company. What did they do? They said no. I know, right? I couldn't imagine it either. It kind of hurt my heart at first. But maybe they're onto something. Why did they say no? Because to us, $3 billion, is a lot of money, and I think to anyone it's a lot of money. But to the owners of Snapchat who built the product and who could see where it's going, they knew that it was nothing compared to what they built in terms of value. So they refused to sell out. And let's see what they got for that. Let's hope they make the money. In May of 2014, Snapchat added text conversations and video chat to the app, again, building out its features. We want to have this be our platform. And in 2015, Snapchat has the biggest growth among social and messaging apps, with 55% growth in that year alone, and they're continuing to grow. So that $3 billion, if they sold out then, they'll be kicking themselves right now. What about Uber? Now, I chose this one because I said people wouldn't be as familiar with Uber, but in a place like Anguilla where it can be difficult to get around, everyone always asks me, why don't you build the next Uber? I tell them I don't want to deal with the taxi association and, cutting anybody out of a job. But a lot of people thought Uber would work well here. So how did Uber get started for the next person who wants to build the next Uber here? In 2008, two friends met at a conference in Paris discussing the future of technology. Now, when they're leaving this conference, they're asking themselves, why is it so hard to get a cab or a taxi? Then they had the brilliant revelation, what are geeks for? Acknowledging that two of them were tech nerds. They have the brains, they have the skills, let's fix this problem. So they started considering, should we do like a limo timeshare service? They were like, nah. In March of 2009, they were like, you know what? The only thing that we know for sure with our solution, we want it to be an iPhone app, and that includes drivers on demand. We want to be able to pull out our phones and just have a driver there. So they started with that concept, not knowing what they were going to build. After 6 months of prototyping, building out what they saw, figuring out what worked, what didn't work, hiring, adding new team members to the team, and testing, whether it's testing those prototypes or the team members to kind of get the right fix and feel. By January of 2010, in New York, they were able to test run Uber with 3 cars. So Uber started out test run with only 3 cars. That was in January of 2010. By May 31st of 2010, they officially launched in San Francisco, and today is worth $17 billion. With a B. And finally, the final story that I'm going to bring this evening is about Airbnb. Or as they have here, the story of how 3 guys went from renting air mattresses to a $10 billion company. So the story starts off with Joe and Brian, 2 guys in a San Francisco apartment who can't afford to pay their rent. They think to rent out 3 air mattresses and then offer breakfast to the persons who decide to rent the mattresses. So in 2007, they make a simple website, which was just a blog with maps, and 2 men and 1 woman showed up, paying $80 each. Sorry, this one's a bit harder to see. So they thought that, you know what, this could actually be a big idea. People are actually willing to give us money just to rent an air mattress on our floor and, get some breakfast in the morning. So they invited a former roommate, someone who used to live with them, to come and be like, you know what, to be their co-founder. Again, if you don't have all the skills and you can't do it yourself, you bring on the people who you know can work with you. Not the people who can do it, the people who can work with you to accomplish what you want to succeed. So now they have a co-founder and they're like, okay, let's build out this website. They launched, and on their launch evening, they got a grand total of 2 bookings. Now, his friend approaches Brian and tells Brian, I hope that this is not the only idea that you're working on. So in 2008, just before the general elections, they decided to offer a deal for $40 each. They offered a deal, renting spaces for $40 each, making a grand total of $30,000. Now, in 2009, they got $20,000 in first money, in terms of funding money, from their first investor. I won't bother going into his name. They were making an average of $200 a week for months. Now, when you really think about it, they went from not being able to afford their rent. For some, they may be like, you know what, that $200 a week every month, that's enough for me to cover my rent. I'm content. I can stop there. But really and truly, they want to grow something. They feel like they have an idea. Push the limits. And when you really think about it, it's like, why not? Worst case scenario, you don't make any more money and you have your rent covered. Best case scenario, you now have a new business or company that you just created or started. So after realizing that they weren't growing, they pretty much analyzed their product, what they were showing the world, and they took a look at their website. And they realized that the pictures of the places that they were showing to persons, they weren't attractive. They weren't something that when you look at it, it's like, that's a bed I want to sleep on. So, to be fair, I can't imagine walking on an air mattress that when you look at it on the internet, it's like, yeah, I want that air mattress. So they went to New York, door to door, to take pictures of the different properties to which they were offering. 1 week later, they were making $400 a week. So 1 week later, just by improving the pictures, the appealability, they were able to double their revenue. And they started to grow. They decided, you know what, we're going to go around, we're going to look for some investors. They approached a venture capitalist and they were rejected. Again, success doesn't always come on the first time around. Do not be afraid of rejection. They rented out an entire house with a famous drummer to promote their app. And between 2010 and 2011, after the promotion, they raised $600,000 after that promotional party. And after they got that first bit of investment, and remember this, I want you all to know that momentum and inertia is powerful. As Newton said, an object at rest stays at rest, an object in motion stays in motion. No, they started picking up and they started to grow. It may be hard to change your inertia. It's hard for an object at rest to suddenly start moving. It has to be acted upon. But you can be that actor. And once you start moving, it's like a rock rolling down a hill. You build, you gather that momentum, you grow. But you have to want that growth. Today, Airbnb stands at a valuation of $10 billion when it started from two guys who couldn't afford rent, renting air mattresses on their floor. So when we start and we think, okay, we have to ask ourselves, what is it that these companies did? Now, when I look at these stories for inspiration and I reflect and I try to analyze them and break them down, some takeaways that I get from these stories include that values for others is often created as a byproduct of solving problems that we ourselves need the solutions to. Does that make sense? So if you have a problem, it's like saying, perfect. You know how a lot of people, when they look at YouTube, they're upset that you can't come out of the app and your music keep on playing? There is a solution to that. You can pay. But that goes to show, it's like everyone had that issue. One time ago, the issue was that we couldn't look at videos. We didn't have that problem because YouTube didn't exist. Now YouTube comes around, and this is what we're considering an issue. Not the fact that we can view content from all around the world. But by solving simple problems that we have, maybe figuring out, you know what, how can I be more productive in my day? How can I get from point A to point B faster? You know what, how can I make something more efficient? Things that we create that have value to us ultimately have values to others because we aren't special. As much as some people like to believe, intrinsically, we aren't that special. The problems that we have, everyone has their problems, and when it all boils down, most people's problems are similar. So my recommendation would be if you want to start building value and you want to start digitizing it and catapulting it, start by figuring out what can I do to improve upon my problems? What can I do to create my own solutions? And how can me creating this value for myself be expanded to allow that value to be able to reach others? Now, as I said, technology is a tool, and in my bio it says, I believe it's a catalyst, because technology empowers us to be able to get the message out there, get the value out there, and be able to reach the people who need it most, or who may not even know they need it, but once they see it, well, you got the next Instagram, you got them hooked. So with that, any questions? And the reason I have discussion on the board and I didn't go too much into the insights is because the way I saw this going, I want you to give me some feedback and tell me, what is it that you took from these stories? What is something that stood out? Now, all of these stories are very common, but if you look at them all together, you can see that they have some basic principles. Keep pushing, build strong teams, believe in yourself. Do what makes you happy. Don't stick in that job just because it's a job. Pursue your own value, try to create it, try to grow it. Try to become the best you. So with that, anyone have any questions? Anyone would like to say anything?
Not a question, but more of a comment, Jose, just to thank you for sharing those stories. And also to mention, it's not in, when you look at the stories, you can, if you're thinking about it on that level, you'll see it. But I also want to mention, because I saw this TED Talk that you probably saw as well, that something that's also important about those stories is that timing is everything. And so Jose made a great point where YouTube, like, we never had a problem with, you know, the app closes, no, I can't hear the video, because you couldn't hear videos, right? That wasn't an issue. Excuse me, but now that we have videos online, that is a problem that can be solved. And so Airbnb and all of and Uber and all of these things, they were successful outside of all the other things that they've done so well. They were also successful, I would say, based on this TED Talk, that really illustrated that because of the timing. It was the right timing where the market was ready for it and where the technology was there to accommodate it. And I think that even for what it is we're doing here at Anguilla, and if you're trying to digitize your value, you also have to evaluate that. Is this the right time? And following your gut and looking at the market and doing the research, as Shelley and Jose and everybody would have mentioned before. I just wanted to highlight that because when I saw these stories before, I didn't think of that until I actually saw the TED Talk, and then I was like, oh, timing is really everything.
Definitely. So thank you for that comment. Anyone else? Any questions? How about one of the students from the school tell me one takeaway they got from this message? Huh? Put them on the spot. Anyone? Nothing? Nothing stuck? Oh, wow.
I apologize, but no.
I would say what I got from this was that it's very important to stick with your ideals and like basically what you want to do to get where you want to be.
Fair enough. If that's a message that stuck with everyone tonight, I feel like my job here tonight was worth it.
Thanks for the presentation, Jose. Beyond just providing solutions from those experiences, what stuck with me the most, and it goes back to Shelley's presentation as well, and one of the books that she recommended, Failing Forward, that is my favorite book, especially because I read it at a time where I felt like everything I was doing was like I was actually failing a lot. So it really helped and it really revolutionized the way I saw failure as well. So what really stuck with me is that with each of those companies, the founders would have had some kind of obstacle or some kind of failure at some point, and they just persevered, and then at the end of it, they have the results now. So that's what really stuck with me the most from them.
Thanks for sharing that.
And I recommend that book to everyone as well.
So yeah, thanks for sharing that. I just wanted to end by saying, yes, failure is indeed a part of life, and unfortunately, it's a part of life that we cannot get away from. The persons who are ultimately successful at the end of the day are the persons who are able to stick with it and be able to get up again despite the failures. The ones in life who don't succeed aren't the ones who don't have the potential to, they're just the ones who don't get up. So with that, I'm going to say thank you for having me, but unfortunately I have to slip out really quick. But thank you so much. Sorry? Oh, what I just said? Oh God, I didn't have that written down. Essentially, the last sentiment that I have is failure is an unescapable part of life. It's something that we're just going to have to learn to accept and get past. When we fail, we have to learn that, okay, that's not the end of it all, but we always have a decision. We can choose whether to keep on going or to choose to let that failure define us. Those who succeed are those who make that decision they decide to get back up again. They decide to keep on pushing on. They never let themselves be defined by their failures. Good? All right. Yes, sir.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Thank you so much.
about to break, where you celebrate the two vendors in the back, but we'll also have a raffle. Is there anyone that did not receive a ticket? I like giving away stuff, so I want to make sure everybody gets a chance. So everyone has a ticket? Okay. So our first winner this evening is Miss Valencia Williams Richardson. You have a ticket?
Okay, and this was sponsored by Nikki's Fashion, Shop and Take.
Cardell Smith.
Okay, so Cardell won a gas voucher courtesy of Island Gases Limited.
And our last winner for this evening is Leslie Fleming. So congratulations to our three winners this evening. Mel? No? Yeah, they're kind of on break, but she was going to introduce the next speaker. So So in the back we have 3 different flavor cheesecake, if I recall correctly. 3? Okay. And we also have 5 different flavors in the lemonade in the back, so please support the vendors. And in the meantime, we'll ask Ms. Melissa Harrigan to come and introduce our last speaker for this evening.
Our next presenter is Mistress Jennifer Fide, and she will be presenting on the topic Leadership and You. Mistress Jennifer Fide has over 25 years in the business profession and is currently employed as the Business Development Executive at the Regional Law Revision Center, a portfolio she has held for the past 8 years. Mistress Fide is a past president of the Anguilla Toastmasters Club and also past president of the Rotary Club of Anguilla, and continues to serve on the Rotary Board and the Rotary District in numerous leadership roles. Mistress Fide will be combining her wealth of experience in the business profession along with her passion for public speaking to present the segment entitled Leadership and You. Please help me welcome Mistress Jennifer Fide.
Thank you very much for that introduction. I also want to adopt the protocol this evening and to thank the Guild of Students and also the Open Campus for the opportunity to address you this evening. Definitely, the information that has been shared here this evening has been a wealth of information. And one thing I would say to you as young persons, please ensure that you take away some valuable nuggets from this, because when I was your age, I would have appreciated an opportunity like this where you are on the verge of making some valuable and important decisions and also to chart your course in life. And I really would have liked to see more persons at such an event, and I do applaud the Guild of Students for hosting such an event. I heard it's the 6th event, so I do encourage even yourselves when you go out there to inform persons, your peers, of such an event, so next year you are able to have more persons attending such a function, because I believe it's important for young persons. It's really critical, because for persons myself, we've had to go on through different paths. A lot of persons have not been able to find their calling, not until latter part or midway their career. But with such guidance, I believe it's integral, it's important for every single individual. So please, the information that is being shared here this evening, you as well share with your fellow peers. And also, I just want to commend Janisha, because I received lots of information from her, and it's definitely very important as she shared, and she was just persistent in following up and providing information, and even questions that I have been meaning to ask, she would send the information. So I do applaud her on being very fantastic at what you do. And so I am your last speaker this evening, and the wonderful part is that my speech this evening will be brief. I will ensure that it's just an overview of what you've already learned and what has been shared and established here this evening. And I will ask a question. How many persons consider yourself as leaders? By the show of hands. We have a few. We have a few. Interesting. That is great. And one of the things that was shared here this evening by Ms. Banks, she made a comparison of traditional leadership where, you know, persons would feel they are the boss, they would talk down to persons, they would be the ones making the decision and giving of the instructions, etc. And now we are looking at the new age where everybody in their own right are leaders, not just leading a company or a set of people, but you also have to be leaders of yourself. So when you create your brand, whatever you need to do or what direction you have in life, it starts with you. You have to be the owner, the leader of yourself first, and then you are able to lead, motivate, and empower persons to meet objectives and to work together as a team. And so we look at what is the leadership. What is leadership? We heard many presenters here this evening, but can I get just a few persons to let me know what you think leadership, that word leadership means to you? Any? This is a discussion. Okay.
This is an existing definition that exists, but for me, it's one that I have kind of enjoyed, and it is leadership is not a position or title, but it's example and action. I really like that.
That is a great definition of leadership. I share that concept as well. Any other? Could we hear from some of the young people? We have some entrepreneurs over there, and it's important for you to as well be leaders in your own right and the business that you will be pursuing. Any of the young persons to give us their perspective? How many of you young persons were members of different clubs in your at school? We have a young lady here.
I would say that leadership is not just a title, but let me not say a title. I say leaders are not just a title, but it also like motivation. It's people you look up to. That's what I think leadership is.
That's a great perspective. Thank you. Any other young persons to give your definition? We have the gentleman right next to you. Yes.
I would say leadership is setting a standard for others to follow.
Great perspective as well. I believe we have another person. Yes, over here.
Not only about motivation, but being able to guide people well, to execute a specific purpose, something along those lines.
Yes, that is all great. And I will share. We have one here from Janisha.
I think leadership has a lot to do with building people. When I think about the term leadership, I think of someone who understands that, it's not all about them. It's also about their environment, and they soar once their environment also soar.
Great. Thank you for that definition as well. And I will share with you that also it is the ability to guide and direct others in response to a group's needs and goals. So this is where leadership is provided, and of course, as you mentioned there, that is also to empower persons to meet their personal and also collective goals for the club or for the group or the workplace or whatever it is, and for themselves personally. And also this involves both the personal and the interpersonal skills that are essential for guiding others and also uniting individuals as teams. And one of the things we recognize that was shared here this evening by Ms. Banks, she said that a leader is a teammate, a team leader. So whenever we have leadership, we always have to look at, okay, how are we are going to mesh persons to work together towards a common objective or a goal. And this is very important for leadership. And one of the things we recognize is that we look at that, and there are some very fundamental things that are necessary for leadership. There are very many skills that persons need to know, whether it be communication, as we said, empowering, empathy, and also to be able to link with others. But for your purpose this evening, I will look at two very essential elements that is needed for leadership, especially at your age, and to develop yourself and the career path or whatever goal that you need to take. So the first one I will look at, of course the slides I take, it has to fly away. And of course, as I mentioned, we will look at two very important elements, and the first one is vision. The second one we will look at is passion. Every leader, this is fundamental to persons, whether you're leading a group of persons or you're leading yourself. It is important that you always have vision and passion. The first one, so the first one is vision. And it says here, vision is a mental picture and a projection or a dream of a possibility. You call that as well a game plan. One of the things that was mentioned here this evening by Miss Roger Webster, and she mentioned that she had a friend of hers at school, and that person wanted to be in the hospitality industry, right? And the person was able to take their subjects and etc., so that they are able to accomplish that vision. And everything they do in life was fundamental, and it was surrounding that vision that they wanted to accomplish. So whatever you want to do as well in life, entrepreneur, whatever business that you have in mind, you always must have a vision. And the vision should always be, and you should always see it as bigger than yourself today. Right? And this is how you are able to continue striving towards that vision, when you know that this reality, this dream, whatever possibility, whatever path that you want to do in life, it is bigger than who you are today. And you are able to take small steps. You want to be, we said entrepreneurs, if you want to be a doctor, you know, okay, this is the pathway to get me to that vision. This is what I need to do. These are the networking. I need to network with people who are in that profession, in that business. I need to know how they were able to come around it. What would they have what sort of challenges that they would have had to face and overcome. All of this is important for you as young persons, that you always must have this vision and always to strive towards it. Even when you are in leadership where you have persons that are responsible to you, right? The group or whatever business that you have, it may also have a vision. All companies are encouraged to have a vision or a mission statement. So when you come into that company, you as well need to associate and align yourself with whatever vision of that business, and together you work towards that vision. Right? There are times in life you would notice that you have challenges and you plan one thing, it's not working out that way, but you still need to find a way around it, because at the end of the day, your vision should always be ahead of you. You should always be on target and looking forward to accomplish it, because there are many paths, and you may start one path, one situation, and you recognize, okay, this is not going to align me with that vision. It will not be accomplished. I need to change the game plan. Always have a game plan and always have a vision. That is critical in terms of whatever path that you want to accomplish. And the second one, which is my favorite, and that is passion. And we have a quote here from Oprah Winfrey, which I absolutely love, and it says here, passion is energy. Feel the power that comes from focusing on what excites you. One of the presentations that Jose presented, he said that, I believe it was, which of the, was it Uber or WhatsApp? One of them, that the person worked at Yahoo, and the person, at WhatsApp, okay, we were listening, great, at WhatsApp. And we recognized that the person had a different dream. They wanted to do something else. And so they left it, they quit their job, they left it so that they could pursue what they wanted. And that is passion, right? We noticed that he also went for various funding. It did not come through, but he continued. And this is what passion is. It is the energy that drives you, and passion comes from within. Right? Many times persons look for passion from the outside, persons to motivate them, etc., etc. Maybe those things that you are looking forward to does not manifest. You probably want parents would, you look forward for parents to motivate you or your friends to motivate you, but there are times they discourage you. And for you to be able to continue towards your vision, you must have passion that comes from within you. And this is how you are able to overcome situations and to continue towards whatever it is that your vision entails. I am reminded of a story of King David in the Bible. there was a particular instance where he came from an event, and he recognized that his camp was invaded, and the persons took their wives, their children, all their possessions, and left with it. And the army that he was leading, they were all distraught. They actually wanted to stone him, and everyone was in sorrow because of this loss. And the Bible says that David encouraged himself. Now, he is a man of worship, etc. I'm not sure how many persons know of King David in the Bible, but it said he encouraged himself. So within, he was able to get the motivation and the courage to then lead that army, his army, to go and recollect or repossess everything that was taken from them, right? And this as well, when you are a leader, there are situations that you must be able to be self-motivated to that, so that you could lead other persons. Because you do not want to be a leader where you are disheartened, you're not confident in terms of that vision, you are not able to motivate persons, or you're not able to find ways of getting solutions when you have problems. Because one of the things we do recognize is that, and whenever a problem can occur, it will occur. Yeah? The more experienced persons in this room, can I hear you say yes to that? Yes. So we find many times that persons become discouraged and they do not have the will to continue. And one of the things that Jose shared as well is that for persons who are successful, it is those who have been able to rise up after failure. And this is where that comes from. It fuels from passion. You have to be able to get that internal motivation to continue towards that dream, continue towards that passion, because these are the people that succeed, right? Most times persons give up either the first or the second time because they do not see whatever they are looking, or it does not look possible to them. But they have to continue. When I read about Michael Jordan, and you read his situations, and he tells you that he has failed over 1,000 times, but he has continued trotting along because he has this vision, he has this mission that he needs to see and to be, and he would not stay down. Right? And this is most important. So as young people, you need to establish your vision, and then it has to be fueled by passion. Passion from within. You have to know what excites you, what you are passionate about, and to stick to that course. And this is why the young man from Yahoo left his job, so that he could pursue his passion. And when you pursue your passion, it's not really like, you don't even feel like it's a job, because it's something that gives you self-gratification. So it's very important as young persons, find what you are passionate about. Do not follow the status quo. You are from a family of lawyers or family of doctors, etc., and then you're going to follow that same trend, because when difficulties hit you, you are not able to be self-motivated to overcome that situation. Are we okay so far? Understanding so far? You must be passionate about what you do. And this is the energy that will carry you through the bad days as well as the good days. As I said, it's a very short presentation. And of course, to get that self-motivation, you recognize that passion is working from your heart. And it encompasses being dedicated, being caring, being committed, being inspired. All of these positive energies come from your heart. Always look for self-motivation first. You can accept and appreciate external motivation, but it starts from within you. And I want to leave you with this quotation from John Maxwell. It says here, a great leader's courage is to fulfill his vision comes from passion, not position. Always remember that, because persons go, well, traditionally persons would go for titles, but we know that this has shifted right now, right? Leaders are persons who would emerge from different situations. You may have a workplace where a person has a title of leader, but we will notice that when situations arise, that it is somebody who does not have that title that comes forth with decisions, with suggestions, with motivation, etc., to keep that team focused on whatever that vision is. So it is no longer title, but it is vision coupled with passion. And questions, comments at this time. We've heard many of the presenters speak for today, and we just want to hear from you yourself. What do you think of what was shared here this evening? What you will take away, and what you find will definitely work towards you and your future goals? This is an interactive session, so at this point, we look forward to hearing from you.
You said passion and vision intertwines, they work hand in hand. So in your opinion, which one do you think will come out first?
The first one would be vision, because you can have passion, but if you don't have a vision, you would be all over. But passion keeps you in line with your vision. So the first is establishing where you want to go, and passion is how you're going to get there. Young people, the young entrepreneurs.
So when do you determine that, how do you know that, you have reached that mark of being a great leader?
You know that mark of being a great leader, first of all, when you recognize that you have established various visions for yourself, and you have been self-disciplined and passionate about accomplishing those personal visions first. Right? And then you are now able to be a leader to others, where you have a team you work well with others, you keep them motivated, you keep their eyes on their vision, and you're able to overcome obstacles and to be able to bring out leadership qualities in those persons and to help them develop in terms of their personal goals and objectives. So there are two ways. First of all, as I said, you first need to be a leader of yourself, be self-controlled, self-motivated. You're able to reach your own personal goals, then you have that confidence when now you are able to be a leader to others. So this is the determining factor where that is concerned.
So would you say that all of them has to be in place, or you can be at least three-quarter way there?
One of the things, I will answer your question by stating that leadership is not a destination, but it is actually something that you work towards. It's always a continuous journey. One of the things, though, even as a person, you have your personal vision. I usually do that, and I also encourage my son to do that. Have a 3-year vision, 3-year projection for that vision. So at the end of that 3-year period, you would have attained this personal objective, and then you now have another 3-year objective vision, right? As was said here earlier, that you should never go a year without learning or improving yourself, right? So if you're able to have this projection, whether you choose for a 3-year projection or a 1-year projection, it is something where you never remain stagnant. Whenever you remain stagnant, there is no development, right? So I would say that leadership is a continuous journey and process towards always looking for improvement and new possibilities for yourself and for whatever team that you are in charge of. Yeah? That's a great question. Thank you. Any other questions from the comments as well? Comments, not just questions, but comments are appreciated as well. Okay. All right. I guess with that said, as I did indicate, it would be a very short speech discussion. I thank you very much for your attention and also for the questions that were posed this evening. Thank you again. Thank you.
Okay, we are now narrowing down to the end of our program. There would have been one more speaker who would have spoken on crisis management, Ms. Susan Hodge. She sends her apologies for not being able to make it this evening. So at this point in time, we are going to invite Ms. Melissa Harrigan to do the closing remarks and vote of thanks. I will also like to ask that you complete the evaluation forms that were given to you upon entry so that we can collect them before you leave this evening. Ms. Melissa Harrigan.
The UWI Anguilla Open Campus Guild of Students recognize the need in the community for assisting tertiary level students in achieving their professional endeavors. To meet this need, we thought it would be perfect to host an event where pre-tertiary, tertiary level students, and prospective professionals who desire to develop their skills and be successful can come together to interact, learn, and network. A space where professionals can share information, experiences, and tips to help others become successful in any work environment. Hence, the birth of Oneness, Different Paths, One Goal. With challenges now posed by a COVID climate, our theme for 2020 had to be the world of work, preparing yourself for success. And so, this event would not be a reality if it wasn't for the generosity and efforts of the following contributors. First and foremost, we'd like to recognize that nothing is possible without the Most High. And so we want to thank God for allowing us to conceptualize, prepare, and implement the plans necessary for the execution of this initiative. Next, we'd like to thank each of our presenters, the Honorable Member of the Opposition, Mr. Jose Vanterpool, Ms. Tahira Banks, Ms. Cherise Brooks, Mistress Shelia Rogers-Webster, and Mistress Jennifer Fide for delivering such insightful and interactive presentations to suit this year's themes. Unfortunately, due to circumstances, we were unable to hear from Mistress Susan Hodge. However, we would still like to thank her for being so willing to deliver on the topic crisis management. We wish to extend gratitude to our sponsors, Titanium Audiovisuals, and in Anguilla for providing us with the sound system as well as live streaming this event. Thank you, Gaff. Island Gases Limited Long Path and Shop and Take for sponsoring the prizes for our giveaways throughout this event. KB Gift Essentials for contributing the gift bags for our presenters this evening. We are grateful to the staff of the TRC for allowing us use of the venue to accommodate us all this evening. To the Department of Information Technology and E-Services for allowing us to use their equipment to facilitate these presentations. We wouldn't have been able to execute this event without the assistance from our partners. Thank you to the following educational institutions: the Albina Lake Hodge Comprehensive School, Comprehensive Learning Center, the Anguilla Community College, and the University of West Indies Open Campus Anguilla for collaborating with us in this initiative. To the various UWI Guild executive members and the Albina Lake Hodge Comprehensive School Student Council President, Taisha Emmanuel, for reading the introductions of the presenters prior to their delivery. To Sasha's 5 Lemonade and Creamy Creations, thank you for being a part of this initiative and offering your delicious refreshments on sale to members of the audience. And I just want to say this, to those of you who are watching, I'm sorry. Which camera should I look into as I say this? This one? I'm sorry, but you missed out. Last, but definitely not least, we are grateful to you, the audience, for your attendance. Without your support, this initiative would be nothing. If by chance I may have forgotten to mention anyone who has contributed to this event, please note that it was not intentional. The UWI Open Campus Anguilla Guild of Students appreciates your contributions and efforts. Once again, thank you all.
Okay, thank you for coming and have a wonderful evening. Please turn in your evaluation forms before you leave. Thank you.
Thank you